I'm gonna I'm gonna be streaming this, so let's do this. I'm doing a Majora's Mask again. Uh, okay, we good? I'm doing a Majora's Mask again. All right. Let's hopefully everything's gonna be normal and work, and everything will be just lovely and no problems. I am in the mood for a Majora. Spiritual lyrical individual, spiritual lyrical individual. Darn it, I don't have any arrows. Gotta
So
get them
you must have
quickly.
started this before because you already have a bunch of stuff.
Huh?
You must be continuing this because there's like already a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I am continuing this. We just got actually done watching the 3DS version, some of the comparison stuff. Um, again, I'm not a huge fan of most of the changes that they decided to make. I think it's bad that they changed the director from uh, Aonuma to some guy who worked on a Secret of Mana game that I've never heard of that didn't get a very good Metacritic. So it's really strange.
It's kind of weird that they didn't change more because they were really, when it came to textures, they were changing everything. But like they kind of like that's sort of the main thing that they seemed to do was retexture stuff and change like bosses and stuff.
For some reason, I wasn't able to find any like items, so I'm gonna just have to buy them at a shop. Usually, you can just spin around the field and get stuff. I mean, I suppose I could just teleport somewhere, and usually they have it in like. Yeah. I'm already up to Monsieur Goron. Um. Hi. um. I pay for my arrows. For some reason, I can always find bombs in Termina Field, but I can never find arrows. It's so weird. I used to be able to do it in like my several cartridge copies of the game, but whatevs. Oh. Whew, I've been playing too much Ocarina of Time. I got confused with the Sun Song there. Okay. We're going to Mountain Village because we still haven't learned Song of Awakening yet. Oh yeah, there's arrows just right over here. Okay, great. So, essentially no need for me to, Oh, that did not mean for that to happen. Okay. Scrub levels are at an all-time max. Let's not do that again. If you actually just open it and close it, it doesn't actually waste any magic. So I tend to use this technique. Why the hell not? What's up, Tantos, by the way? Oh, come on. I always accidentally talk to him when I try to roll off this thing. Finals are over for you? Congratulations. I still have one more on Friday. So wait. You're working, like what job? Oh my, man, I might not be close enough. Crap. Please be close. Yep, okay, good. Food stocks at Walmart. I have a friend who works at Walmart and he hates it. He thinks that the way that they employ or the way that they treat their employees is really bad. He's in Canada though. I've listened to a lot of GameStop employee opinions. It's really funny because they treat their employees terribly, but they treat their customers worse, which is great. So I've listened to a lot of podcasts about like GameStop and workers and people who shop there, and I never shop there, so I pre-ordered I think Dark Souls 3 from GameStop, but and I could see a lot of their manipulation tactics, but I kind of stopped from getting conned out of things. They wanted me to buy the DLC for Dark Souls 3 basically before I even played the game, and I don't believe in that shit, you know, like, so I managed to evade their marketing tactics to try to get me to pay $20 extra, like, out of the box. And I'm glad I did, because I don't think I'll actually be purchasing Dark Souls 3's DLC.
$20 extra seems like friggin' like with Call of Duty, you get a whole other game for $20 extra, but you only get a DLC for $20 with this.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a season pass, then that could be worth it. Like, but
Well,
still,
that's. I don't think that they were selling a season pass for everything. They just wanted you to pre-order the DLC, which
I mean, if you don't like buying DLC ahead of time, then a season pass isn't really going to change anything. But I mean, in terms of money value,
well, it also depends on what the DLC is because it's like I didn't do any research into it, and they were, they insisted. They tried to pressure me into it. Basically, they were like, "Really? But like Bloodborne's DLC was so good, and you said that you like Bloodborne and stuff." It's like, yeah. So why don't you just trust From Software? Because I don't know.
you've been through some ups and downs with From Software.
Yeah, I'm very tsundere when it comes to From Software.
Well, I mean,
Scholar of the first sin.
it's they're they're kind of it's their fault. Skull first dinner. Um, like, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, GameStop, where you buy a game for $60 2 weeks ago and you bring it in to resell it, and they're like, "How about $1.21?" That sounds fair,
I
right?
That happened with Wolverine, and they get pissed at you if you still manage to get a deal. Like, it's weird. Like, if you actually manage to get good prices on stuff, they'll like be angry at you from what I hear. Super immature practice.
You mean like angry at you for going to another store, or angry at you for haggling?
Haggling.
What are the employees counting? Which dollars go to their salary and which dollars? Like, I
Be
guess the manager
Well, the thing
cares.
is that GameStop actually operates under the way of the employees have to get a quota of like pre-orders a day, and if they
Oh,
don't
so it's
fulfill
like
that,
it's like a McDonald's. You have to sell so many like McGriddles and stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Pre-orders are a very bad practice to rely on. They're like convenient if you like. I'm pre-ordering The Last Garden. I've been pre-ordering it since like 2011. But like, there's just some things that I'm not gonna pre-order. Like, and you just can't rely on every game to be that thing.
Um, well, not only do they rely on you to have pre-orders and stuff like that, but like a certain quota, um, you can actually be fired if you don't. Like, it's because the thing is that the GameStop makes all their money from the pre-orders. The actual games themselves are not what they make money from. They make money from used games, and they make money from the extra that it costs to pre-order something. So that's how the company makes money, because they aren't making actually any money from distributing the games themselves from the corporations, especially if they're new. Um, Everywhere else does have better service. You're better shopping like Amazon, honestly. I think they even know that too. I actually have this company called like Kex Games over here, and they sell things super cheap. Like I bought uh like a bunch of movies Criterion Collection for the cheapest, like even cheaper than they are on Amazon. Hausu I got for $15, which was fantastic. Play and Trade. What, I've never heard of that. Is that European or is that like Canadian? Ugh. East Coast. I'm from I'm from like all over the United States, but I especially like the East Coast. I lived in Maryland for several years. It was really one of my favorite places that I lived, despite the horrible smog everywhere all the time. I remember when they used to have like all these different like Blockbuster and GameStop kind of competitors. There was like Hollywood Video where you could uh, buy used games from occasionally or like rent things out, and now they're gone completely. All these companies are gone. I actually did quite like Blockbuster. There's something extremely nostalgic about it. I kind of miss it. I remember when I was like 5 and I couldn't even reach over the counter. Man, that was a long time ago. I feel old. Kids are growing up now not even knowing what a Blockbuster is. They still had one a year ago? That's even surprising. The last one I saw was in like 2010. I'm sure that I passed them by on the streets. I don't see them ever. Spiritual, lyrical, individual, spiritual. It's like going back in time, but everything. Did they ever carry Blu-rays? Did they get to that point where Blockbuster carried Blu? Surely they did. Okay, we're in Snowhead Temple now. Cool. I can't really rank any of the Majora's Mask dungeons. Like, I can kind of rank the ones in Ocarina from my favorite to least favorite, but not really so much for this game. Like, they're all about the same. Well, actually, I think, now that I think about it, frickin' Stone Tower is probably the best, in my opinion. Which is a good note to end on. Your device isn't fully protected. There we go. Dropping a lot of frames now. Internet's not holding up so well. Awesome. Mountains of cheap TVDs. again, my local video store sells DVDs for. I bought like Fargo for 50 cents on DVD, and DVDs are so dirt cheap now that you can get all the movies that you technically want to, like they're nothing. I bought the entire series of 30. I think. What is it? It's that Kiefer Sutherland series, like 32 or something. I don't know what it's called. I haven't watched it yet, but I bought that thing for, I think like $1.50. My favorite Zelda game is Ocarina of Time, but it's not the best. It's like the most nostalgic for me. I have the most like rose-tinted nostalgia goggles. In my opinion, Majora's Mask is the best. Like fairly speaking, in terms of if I take my bias out of things, I am fond of both, like very much so.
I mean,
But
in a way, like the stuff that we're exposed to when we're kids has like the opportunity to it's like the foundation of our perception of like a genre. So like if this is your first horror game, then it has, you know, a responsibility and like a sort of privilege to define how you perceive that aesthetic. And like that's why it pisses me off when people don't respect like what kids think or try to make good games or good shows for kids, cuz like you're setting the groundwork for everything that will come later for these people. And like if you screw up, then it's on you. Like, you know.
Ocarina of Time is indeed my favorite. A lot of people are surprised by that. I try not to let people know. So, they're kind of like,
just 'cause something's popular doesn't make it
how
your
could
favorite.
how could you not be hipster? You piece of shit. Oh shit.
Like I know that sometimes it's like, oh well, what are the odds that the popular thing is also the best? But on the other hand, it's like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. Maybe something's popular for a reason. Sometimes, you know.
Wow, that's poor design. I couldn't like light that thing on fire with a Deku stick. That's actually not good. Wow. It wants me to get the fire out, even though they put those torches over there. Okay. Right.
What they should have done is they should have put the fire on a platform you couldn't get close to while holding the Deku stick, so that you would have to use the arrows.
Yeah, that's a good solution actually.
Or like you could suicide like Deku Scrub so that he had to jump to the fire platform, and then like no wait, that's impossible. That still wouldn't. That still
Wait,
wouldn't
is that a
work.
mechanic in the game? You can light Deku Scrub on fire and then fly to things?
No,
I mean like you'd light the stick on fire.
Oh
which-
my god, that would be so weird if you were Deku Link and you lit yourself on fire to solve puzzles. That's kind of fucked up.
That would be horrifying, and it would canonize the fact that you were dying, because then there would be permanent consequences, like in the effects.
Hmm.
It kind of is redundant to die in Majora's Mask, isn't it?
Hmm.
Because some people say that you're dead all along, and if that's the case, then every time you die, you're like hollowing or something.
But yeah, I think Majora's Mask does align with my tastes more. And it's still it's still the best one. That's why I say it's the best one, because it's like it's amazing. I think that this game is special on so many levels. That Ocarina of Time is just not. But Ocarina, it ruled my childhood. I can't not love it the most. That's the problem. Replayed it so many times. I actually don't know how to solve this dungeon. I kind of forgot. That's not good. It's okay. I'll make it through. We'll get this spiritual, lyrical, individual, spiritual. I think the doors are linked by colors a lot of the time. I don't know. So I'm probably thinking about this too hard. Maybe if I go back to the start and then I try another door. Do I have a key now? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, we're on the right track. Oh no, I agree. Glitches are the best part of it. Oh no, I know so many glitches in Majora's Mask at 64. There are so many goddamn glitches in this game, and I'm gonna show some of them off later, probably in the playthrough. Yeah, like one of my favorite ones was getting Epona into the mayor's office. That was a lot of fun, and you can do that in this game. It's so glitchy. This is like the most fucked up Zelda game. Well, actually, Ocarina is more fucked up in some ways. Like, you can beat that game in, like, the first dungeon. Like, you can just teleport to the end of Ganon's castle. Like, from the very start. It's so messed up.
Is watching this video about short video games and how that like maybe it's good to have a short game if it's like if it's full of goodness and you know you avoid the
Well paced.
yeah well paced. And then I was thinking about how like Skyward Sword would probably be liked more if it like if it was just a good for like a small number of levels instead of like padding itself out. I mean, to be fair, I haven't played the remix versions of the levels, like, in comparison with the originals, so I don't know if they change enough, but...
What are you talking about
it
with
sounds
remix
like
levels?
they don't.
Wait, what? What's this about remix levels?
Okay, so in Skyward Sword, you go back to the same place.
Oh,
like,
right, yeah,
3
no,
times.
you're right. Okay, yeah. So,
And,
yeah.
like, it's like, so people... So, there's this thing where people make a game like Journey really short, and then, like, Journey's really complete, even though it's shorter than, like, you know, Witcher 3. And yeah, it costs a bit less, you know, it's like $15 or $20. But like with something like a Zelda game, if you don't want to make a Zelda game that's that long, like if you're not gonna make a Majora's Mask or an Ocarina, why not just make a short Skyward Sword and sell it for $40? Like I don't or $30. Like why does it have to be like
Well, they developed that game for 5 fucking years, so they really wanted it to be like their staple, basically.
but it's like there should be 5 years of content in there if you're gonna act like it should be super long. Like
Yeah,
I
Skyward
don't
Sword
know.
is really redundant. It's like they spent too much time, I think, on it, and so they just kind of like they were like, well, we got to get it out sometime. Oh crap. I just kind of screwed up everything.
Engine?
Thanatos and Hattori are right. I would actually be okay with paying $60 for Journey because for me Journey is like Ico, like Shadow of the Colossus level, and like that kind of like if I can know that I'm gonna like a game as much as Ico or Shadow of the Colossus, I'd pay $60 for it even if it was short.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's hard to know.
That's true for a spiritual lyrical individual. But yeah, I agree.
Spiritual lyrical individual. What is
Spiritual lyrical individual, spiritual lyrical. Digibro is releasing new rap mixtape. He's actually a pretty good rapper. But I like to make fun of him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a pretty good rapper, and he's releasing a mixtape, but I'm making fun of him because I think that he's white as shit, and it's pretty funny. So.
But he's gonna be the next like violinist version of Snoop Dogg Lion.
How can I become the greatest violin version of Snoop Dogg Lion like this, yo? Oh,
But like,
yeah, no,
I don't know.
I
It's like
agree.
people-
When I said on Twitter or I used someone's quote up from Twitter or from YouTube basically, but they were like, Ground Zeroes was the best part of Metal Gear Solid 5, and I was like, yeah, you know what, it kind of is, and like for some reason that's controversial, but
again, I would say Peace Walker is the best part of MGS5, but I still think Ground Zeroes is maybe the best. I don't know. We accidentally created dead silence. Why did that happen?
Because you had to go and say Peace Walker was the best Metal Gear Solid 5. How could you?
But it's your favorite, isn't it your like favorite Metal Gear game other than MGS2? Like,
No, MGS3 is my favorite Metal Gear
I don't-
game besides MGS2.
oh, it's,
Yeah.
oh.
MGS3 and MGS2 are like Silent Hill 2 and 3. They're like the complete package of games that complete each other for what they don't do. And
Like,
then
it's weird.
and
I think-
then Majora and Ocarina are like that. They complete each other for what they
I
don't
think
do.
MGS2 was the most exciting one, but MGS3 was like my favorite to play, if that makes sense. Like MGS2 was just so, and it was so full of stuff I like. Like my kind of like cyberpunk like espionage is MGS2. So it was like
Oh,
the freaking
and
railgun.
I agree. By the way, I think Peace Walker is a great game. So it's better than MGS5 by a long stretch.
I mean, I'll say that Ground Zeroes had a better, I guess, aesthetic and a stronger sense of physicality, and I like the scale of MGS5, but it's like a lot of what people were expecting from MGS5 was already in Peace Walker, so it's kind of weird. Like to me, I feel like actually a lot of the stuff we missed out on in MGS5 was simply not there because we already had it. You know, it was already in Peace Walker. So it was like, I don't know. It was weird.
I believe gaming sequels should probably, if you created a masterpiece, then you should just do whatever you didn't do in the sequel. That's kind of what all the best sequels do.
Yeah, that's it. That's basically the formula too. That's what I always thought people were supposed to do in a sequel was you just do the stuff you couldn't do or the stuff that didn't fit into the first one. You know, like. I mean, there's always that fan out there that wants to do a remake that would be like amazing. It's like as a developer, you can figure out what that would probably be and just do it. You know, like there's so many ways to make a, you know, expansion to like Shadow of the Colossus. So if they wanted to be, if they wanted to just simply do a sequel of it, they could have.
Like, how many Colossus did they have in mind?
They were originally going to be like a shit ton. That number.
A metric shit
It
ton?
was, yeah, it was like 28 or 30 or something. It was a lot, but they could have done a sequel, but instead they went and they reinvented the whole thing for like Last Guardian. So that's exciting, but it's just funny that, like, you know, really I don't think it's hard to come up with a sequel. It's just I mean, I guess making a sequel to something like Undertale would be really hard because Undertale is so many things. And what makes it is so complicated that figuring out how to create a wholly new would be a massive undertaking.
Ueda wanted 46 originally. Like really? Like for Colossi? That's amazing.
It was a ton, yeah.
That would have been like an amazing game if there was 46 like
So, to
of
be
that
fair,
quality.
You also were on a team of hunters that like all had horses. There were like 4. And there was co-op, and there were lots of things that would have made it like make sense to have that many, but it
Well,
was
that sounds
basically
super fun.
it was Monster Hunter.
There
It
were
was
13 in the end game, right?
13.
There were
like
no 16. I think there was 16. Yeah.
So that leaves 30 that they did not put in.
Yeah, that's incredible actually that there were really that many. 28. No wait.
Where did I
Yeah,
go
Ben's right.
wrong?
Yeah, I carried it too.
Friend
Wrong, similar.
somewhere along in the bitterness and
Like I don't know. I think I would appreciate if they had just either made Skyward Sword be more like less watered down, or priced it differently or something. Because like I mean, even Ground Zeroes knew it couldn't sell itself for $60. Like.
yeah, no,
40's a
Ground
bit much,
Zeroes
but-
though should have been free, and I think if Kojima had it like according to what he would have wanted, it would have been free. Like
Kojima had his way.
I'm pretty sure it would have been free if Kojima had his way. I'm pretty sure it actually would have been in the
A lot of
game
things.
if he had his way. I mean, like, it would have just been in the game, because it's, like, structurally the same as MGS3 that way. You know how you have the virtuous mission?
Essentially, by making these games for, like, a higher budget than what their profit margin, like, is
Oh
comfortably.
yeah, it is a lot like Virtuous Mission.
He always charges like he always charges like about the same amount, right? $60 for a full game, and then like a certain number of people buy the games, but like they can't budget the games the way he imagines them. He always wants to make the state of the art thing with his fan base, and if his fan base screws up and doesn't buy the game, then like it's basically like he's giving the people who did buy it free extra content. Like the game would be $80 if it were hardcore and but because I don't know, it's like he's always confident that he'll make a profit, so he just makes it for a high budget anyway. Except for I guess Peace Walker was a handheld game, so the budget was under control.
Shadow of the Colossus is perfect as it is. I'm not saying that it's not it's imperfect just because
It would be cool to have.
Yeah, it just would have been amazing if it had like a ton of content.
It's hard because how do you tell that? How do you modify the story of Dorman? Like, do you just have it be that gods in general can be subdivided?
Yeah, I don't think that would
Maybe
affect
there's like
the
a
plot
god
that
of
much.
a god of life that's missing, and like the land is dying, and you have to bring it back by collecting the pieces.
So it's Dorman. Wait, Dorman didn't escape.
Dorman was like
got
the
resealed.
Grim Reaper, so you'd want to create like you'd want like the Spirit Walker from like Mononoke. You have to rebuild the Spirit Walker, and there's like 30 pieces or something. I don't know. It kind of
holy moly! Metal Gear Solid 5 made more money than Avengers 2. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, like the voice actors especially get underpaid when you look at it that way. Like Jesus.
Oh yeah, no. Metal Gear doesn't pay the people that work. Video games in general underpay like the employees. Like it's a problem because they're super expensive and they feel to investors like they're a niche, even though they sell better than movies sometimes. You can't guarantee that every game is going to do better than a movie. Like so many games, like so many series end on a really ambitious one because it didn't make the profits to justify like the budget, and then everyone got fired. I don't understand how Rareware broke up. Like I keep looking at it and I'm like, what? How the hell did that happen? Like it actually seems like I just don't understand it. They had a license to print money.
What do you mean rare? Like what? Wait, what?
Well,
what?
like we know why certain studios failed. It's because they made an ambitious game that didn't sell well, or the company betrayed them. But in the case of Rareware, there was no motivation. At least in the way I understand it, there was no motivation for them to sell to Microsoft. So I don't get why they did it. I understand that the creative team wasn't in power, but that wasn't. Like, when you have a trusted brand, modifying the brand is a huge corporate risk, and it's weird that they did that.
Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
What is Grabbed by the Ghoulies?
Grabbed by the Ghoulies is like a zombie game with this kid, and it's like, I didn't play it. It was on the Xbox, I think, maybe.
I thought there was a version for the Wii U.
Did Rare make Viva Pinata?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Viva Pinata was considered good. Maybe that's it. Maybe it was just these games were critically acclaimed, but nobody played them. Like, people played Viva Pinata, but it wasn't, like, massive. You know, it probably sold as well as Pikmin or less.
I'm not getting any of the fairies in Majora's Mask because I don't want any of the upgrades. I'm gonna fight Majora like a man with a fucking dagger.
You're gonna fight Majora like David and Goliath. You have, like, 3 hearts. Like...
I know, isn't it great?
This is gonna be really hard. It's gonna be cool, but it's gonna be so painful. Like,
no light arrows on that bitch either.
Light arrow.
That's easy. So you can light arrow Majora to victory.
You're basically Moomin Rider, and you're gonna go fight
Sea King.
Yeah, Sea King. You're gonna go fight Sea King.
Bike Man.
One Punch Man. What? That's what Fierce Deity is. He's One Punch Man.
Although his face reminds me of Genos.
How do I spiritual lyrical individual?
Well, you did just punch an entire floor of a building. Like,
Well,
you basically punched the trailer.
I'm trying to figure out where to go next. Like, 'cause I don't remember where I'm supposed to go.
Well, let's use the game design. Where's the level telling you to go? Let's see if we can find anything that points, anything that shimmers. Is there anything above you?
Not that I'm aware
Can
of.
Goran like up?
Usually this is a lot easier to me. Like, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time today. I better beat it soon. I don't want to like waste all 3 days.
Maybe compare.
Yeah, no.
the two versions of the
This is a run that I'm not. I am in no way. I am in no way upgrading anything. No sword upgrades. No arrow bomb upgrades. Nothing like that. I'm getting all the masks, but I'm not getting Fierce Deity, and I'm going to be 3 heart running the entire thing on top of that. So it's just, this is the ultimate like masochistic version of Majora's Mask. Let's go for it, me. Oh shoot, it paused.
Oh. According to Thanatos, wait a second. Is what paused? The stream?
No, my game. It just for a sec.
Oh.
Sometimes it does
According
that.
to Thanatos, Peace Walker had the same budget as MGS4. I'm surprised by that.
Really?
But
Yeah, that is
I mean,
surprising.
there's a lot of features and functionality in
Maybe
that,
it's
in
just
Peace
more
Walker.
expensive to develop for the PSP.
Well, it could be that it was the flagship PSP title or something. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a big deal on the PSP. So,
Ben.
uh,
Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere along in the bitterness sand. Okay. Okay. That rolling on the edge scares the crap out of me. Vocaloid licenses? No, I'm sure that they're not cheap, but people pirate them, right? Like the actual program? I don't know. I don't know if I know what I'm talking about, you know?
You can use Utao to like, I mean, it doesn't have as many features, but it still works pretty well if you're a good composer. They
36
wanted that
hours.
iconic Vocaloid voice though. For
So
the,
what'd you think?
You think Peace Walker was a step in the wrong direction? Interesting. I can see that, but actually as a portable game and an experience, it was quite good. I don't think it's the design philosophy should have been in MGS5, though. I think MGS5 is truly, like, that's where it's kind of like, why? Like, a portable system? Okay. Like, for a console experience, I'm not sure if I'm into it. No, the Strangelove stuff was really good. She was an interesting new character and not in MGS5 at all. Wow. To be honest, I think killing off Chico was a mistake. I think I don't know if there was any character that particularly wowed me in MGS5. Quiet was close-ish, and Huey was close-ish to being like, yeah, this is...
I don't know if my opinion matters or whether I should talk about what I think about the game. Like, it's up to you.
It's... yeah, you, like, have a diverse opinion. What are you gonna say?
Well, I like Code Talker, I like Skullface, I like Quiet. I kind of like Kaz, but he's a dumbass in that game, but I like it. Like, it's weird. I like Huey, even though he's, like, I hate Huey, but also, like, I love to hate Huey. My god, Huey. He's such a pain in the ass. I'm trying to think of who I don't like. I wish Eli talked more. It really pisses me off that Eli didn't talk more because there was no point to him not talking. Like, they basically didn't get a kid actor and they realized that they didn't need one. And it's like, okay, that's fine, you know, whatever, minimalism. But we're in the age of voice acted video games now. If you're gonna have one character talk, then the only characters who shouldn't talk are ones where it's a story thing.
Eli was a huge disappointment because literally nothing that we knew of his character was reflected at all in MGS5. He says, "Father rejected me. He chose you over me, and he told me I was shit," or something like that. And it's like, well, actually, Venom was pretty nice. He's like chill to that brat. I mean, that brat was horrible, and he was still nice to him.
Venom was pretty good to him. I mean, if you consider like the secret mission that got cut out, Venom was just cool, dude. He was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just bring you to Mother Base. I'm not gonna let you like steal anything. Please stop stealing things, Eli. Eli's like, how dare he get mad at me for committing crimes? It's like, what the hell, Eli?
Eli was really bad because I would have loved to have seen him not be like an evil asshole and then like become one. We could see that transformation. That would have been really cool. That jealousy grow.
Yeah, it's weird that he was like a crime lord kid, like just by default, like.
And they didn't play up the Lord of the Flies edge either. I would have liked to have seen them.
I kind of like that. Motif.
I like the motif, but I think that if we saw him be like a leader to the kids, like, you know, just like even that would have been cool.
That was the point of the island.
He was the Jack of the team, but who was the Ralph?
There was that kid. There was the. We know who the piggy was. It was that kid with the.
Piggy was Venom.
Yeah. Yeah, in MGS5 they try to have a motif of that. They were gonna do more, but they cut it out.
Well, everything feels cut out.
Yeah, that's true. That's a big problem with the game is that things cut out. Well, okay, so the thing I do like about Eli is his relationship with what is it? Oh crap. I forgot his name now. Psycho Mantis.
Oh.
And then like the thing of like how he
Psycho
does
Mantis.
stuff that Big Boss and Liquid do, and like the not Liquid, Solid do. Like he's always sneaking out of the base, like all the time. And when you think about Zadornov and Solid Snake, that's what they constantly do. They're always sneaking out in this inconvenient way, and it's almost a running joke that like the Metal Gear characters are just uncontainable.
Like, we needed to see more expansion on the scope of the story in MGS5 because we didn't get to see any of the MSX like events, which I would have loved to have seen MGS5 remake missions from MSX.
That would have been cool.
And then I would have loved to have seen Big Boss, the real one, be a player, and Venom more defined as a character instead of just pretending that he's actually the real one throughout the entire game. I mean, there's allusions to him being his own character, but not enough. It's like there's just needs to be more.
It would have been nice. Like, I mean, I like the whole thing with Quiet, and I like the fact that he does things that Big Boss wouldn't do, but to some extent, there's still this ambiguity about who he is.
What the hell was up with the language thing? Let's talk about that theme real quick, because I'm really... Joe, what do you think was up with the language
thing? I was satisfied with that.
No, I mean, it's... Okay, so Skullface's plan was to release the English strain so he could nuke the world by... Or at least sell nukes to people by having chaos happen and war break out because of the English strain.
Remove the influence of English and the people who speak English from the world, and then everyone else would, like... Everyone else would be left behind to have power, and because like he thought that English was like the worst language since it was the most imperialistic one.
I agree. A Breaking Bad arc would have been amazing, like to see Big Boss be like Walter White.
Breaking Bad thing was something that it's weird because
that's what I was hyped for. That's what I was expecting.
If I can make a comparison, I think that what Kojima meant by that was that he was thinking of Venom as being the Jesse of the situation, and that like
Venom,
the Patriots were
what is this element? Wire.
yeah, Venom's like a wire.
Wire. Pikmin. bitch. Venom, bitch. That would have been hilarious.
Skullface is Gus.
I am Skullface Frame. We didn't get enough of Skullface being serious. Like I really liked him in Ground Zeroes, where he's like a serious threat and stuff like that. But in
Okay, you know, a big part of the problem with the plot of this game is that because of the way everything works, the Metal Gear has to be secret. And I wish that the main sort of cutscene-y part of the game had more plot points that the outside world was allowed to know about, so that they could get involved with like other countries and.
Oh, I compiled
characters.
all the cutscenes, but I'm sorry for interrupting you, Joe. I noticed someone saying like the cutscenes were masterfully directed, and they are. They're really masterfully edited and directed, and I compiled all the cutscenes together in one place because I really was quite fond of them. I think that they tell a more interesting narrative than the one in the game. But yeah. And like all the important stuff is there too. Like Kojima did not care about spoilers for those trailers, which is another.
Yeah, those trailers show like everything, but it's just out of order.
But that's
so
that's why you. Yeah, it misdirects you. But that's why you feel like there's gonna be more content in the game as well. Is because it's like.
Yeah, because if that's what they're showing, imagine what they're not showing.
Yeah.
And like even like Alex was saying that he thought they were showing too much before it came out, and we saw that they were like.
Up until the game's release, I actually thought that Africa and Afghanistan were only 2 levels in the like the vast array of levels and stuff like that, and I was fooled.
I'm surprised you didn't like spend more time. Like they didn't have an open world on like a, what is it? The place where you're at the hospital. What is that country?
What do they call that thing Huey was working on? That was like the AI drone built into like a Metal Gear tank.
The walker thing. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't do anything with that.
Yeah, I thought either you would have to pilot that and sort of try to fight Zeke with it,
or
you would have to fight it like not Zeke. Try to fight Sahelanthropus
it's
with
an outer ops mission thing. Like it's like how you can rebuild like Zeke, and then deploy it in those little tank battles that you don't really get to watch.
But yeah, I either thought he piloting it and you'd have to fight him when like you finally get fed up with him, or you'd have to use it to fight Sahelanthropus. Like you couldn't fight it on the ground.
Well, let's see if we can. Well, actually, we do need powder kegs. I think that's mandatory in this game. I could bomb shoot hover, but I don't know. Let me do the powder keg mission anyway.
I wonder if the powder kegs organization in like Bloodborne is a reference to the powder kegs. I know it's a generic kind of object name, but still, like, I mean, powder keg doesn't come out.
Why would they cut the battle gear and have other OP items in the game that just reduces your score when you use them? Like, it should just reduce your score when you use it. I want to point out, by the way, that this Norwegian, or, like, this Northern European architecture here in Majora's Mask is so unusual. It's like, the Majora's Mask is this, like, this area feels like it's from some different game.
Well, they want you to know that, like, this isn't Hyrule. This is an alternate place.
No, but it's so surreal. It's like a cobbling of different, like, culture, and it's so interesting. Like,
you know what pisses me off, by the way? The fact that there's a place in the lore called Lorule. Like, come on, don't turn Hyrule into a pun retroactively, guys.
Haha. How true.
What game even did that? Was that Link Between Worlds, or was that Link to the Past?
MGS5 makes me angry as well. I know a lot of people don't. Joe's probably not angry like I am at the game, but it's...
I don't even know what's going on. We were talking about Lorule.
It's
well,
context.
We're sort of like swapping around sporadically.
Yeah, no. We are, because there's people talking in the comments, so that's why.
I'm just gonna assume it was Link to the Past then. But yeah, I don't know. It's like MGS5. It disappoints me because it's not finished, and you know, like it sort of promised things that weren't in the game. But it's sort of like, again, because I think of Ground Zeroes and Peace Walker as being part of it. A lot of that stuff they were alluding to in the trailers was really more like they were reminding us of what was already in Peace Walker. So it's like, if I want that stuff, if I want to see Big Boss run like a kid soldier army, or if I want to see Kaz and Big Boss start to have conflict, or you know, like, if I want to see that stuff, I'll just play Peace Walker again. You know, like,
I wanna talk about Majora's Mask here, because this is kind of interesting, and not many games do this. But after you beat the temple here, the level design does shift a little to make for other challenges, like bringing this powder keg to this area or whatever that we're going to blow up this rock for. It changes the challenge, because as soon as the ice melts after you beat the temple and you've cleared the evil, like, the water will kill you if you fall into it, as opposed to, it used to be ice that you could walk on. So you've actually increased the challenge for this one specific part, and that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not that hard to avoid the wolves, but oh crap. Well, a lot of
Did you
people.
speak too soon?
He's running out of time.
Oh.
A lot of people didn't
There's
play
wolves.
Peace Walker though, and those who did didn't realize the big order. Yeah, no, he did, but yeah, and I get it, and I get that, and there's actually a really excellent video. It's like a Metal Gear Solid 5 story critique, I think is what it's called, and it explains that in even more detail than I could. But the purpose of Big Boss falling, yeah, it was kind of like, it happened in Peace Walker already. That being said, I do think that the child soldier angle and the corporate evil that he becomes isn't quite as defined in that game as it could have in a sequel.
In
So
MGS5, they also sort of aren't really showing Big Boss, or at least the person they're showing thinks you're not supposed to think they're Big Boss. So, like...
So if they had more to the game, then they should have had Big Boss at
like
some point
you're-
come back, and then we see the differences between Venom, who we thought was Big
Yeah.
Boss, and the real Big Boss.
That would be kind of cool to have a level where Big Boss is in control of, like, some base of his own, and, like... Or at
Or just
least...
him being there and seeing how he reacts to
I don't
similar
know. Like,
things.
this guy did this April Fool's video where he was saying that, like, Venom actually was Big Boss, and I know he was kidding, but, like, in a way, some of his points, I'm, like, thinking about them, and it would actually make sense if it was just that Venom brainwashed himself into thinking he was some innocent version of him, or something.
but
Like,
Hattori 3000 says that vibe I get from Zero Tapes, it connects back to the themes when we pass on to the next generation. Didn't communicate that very well in MGS5. Yeah. Kojima was a little bit.
The ending, you can tell they wanted to have a really satisfying ending that, like, explained MGS4 and did all this stuff, but they just didn't do it, and so we didn't get to, like, I wonder if we had gotten to play the mission on the island, like the Lord of the Flies island, would we have seen cutscenes that communicated all that stuff that Zero told us? Like,
I don't know.
I can really tell that Kojima ran out of time, though. I think he would have developed this game for another whole year if he had been comfortable working there. But, like, the dialogue in PT and dialogue in, like, Ground Zero shows that they were gonna fire him for, like, 2 years. Like, they'd been preparing to remove him from the studio ever since before, like, Ground Zeroes was done. Like, the whole theme of Ground Zeroes, I think it's undeniable that it's a meta about him losing control of the studio. Like, it's too obvious that that's what he's going for.
I felt like MGS5's ending, actually, I'm responding to Tantos with this. I'm not sure if we're supposed to get angry by it. I don't think Kojima necessarily thought that we'd get upset. He's pretty naive, honestly. With what he says about Raiden, he didn't actually think that people would get angry at Raiden either. Like, he didn't think that would happen. So he's a pretty naive guy when it comes to this stuff.
I'm kind of, for me, that kind of a twist is par for the course in MGS. It's like, I just am like, okay, this happened. Why did this happen? And I just start thinking about that. You know, like...
I was just thinking about if every time they had the Tankers chapter type scene, and then the majority of the game, you're playing as someone else. Then if you think about that for Metal Gear Solid 3 and 4, because in those games, they do, at least it seems like, keep the same character from Tanker chapter to main. But like, what if they did switch him, and just nobody's noticed?
I saw Fungo's video about PT, and I think that it's correct, actually. I think he's got a lot of valid points, but his next game isn't going to be a horror game. It's going to be an Uncharted-esque shooter. Supposedly that's what Kojima says, and if that's the case, wow, that's disappointing. But you know, I don't...
Well, I mean, that when he says Uncharted, I think he's saying that you get to fight people.
Well, he
with
didn't
guns.
actually say that it was going to be a third-person shooter at all. He just said if you like games like Uncharted 4, then you'll like this. And it's like, okay. Or Quantum Break. He mentioned another third-person shooter as well.
A lot and like kind of traverse it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. I'm guessing he's implying there's lots of vertical freedom and like lots of interaction, like, you know, like, because he compared it to the Division, which is this sort of scarcity economy, like survival, like, you know, sort of world. Like, it's
And,
not like, is it a apocalyptic sci-fi game?
And
Like-
the combat has a lot of stealth elements to it as well.
The Division comparison makes me think it's going to be like Shin Megami Tensei, Digital Devil Saga, maybe. But I don't know if it'll be like that.
I think it'll be a mecha third-person shooter. I think it's going to be mecha-themed, so... Because I don't know if Kojima is as big of a crazy whiz kid guy as especially after as much as he used to. I'm very cynical. I think that the mythology of Hideo Kojima is very similar to the mythology of Hideaki Anno, and I don't think either of them are... I think both of them have made brilliant products, and both of them are brilliant people, but they aren't like the whole conspiracy nut, let's send you down the rabbit hole super far, you know, like, you know. I don't think either of those people do that.
Okay,
So-
one thing about this game is I'm getting the impression it's not going to be like Zone of the Enders sized mechs. It'll be Suit mechs. Like, more like Metal Gear Rising, but not exactly. Like, I think it'll be kind of like Appleseed, or maybe like Jinro, kind of.
Power armor.
The power.
I was thinking of the Snape suit video too. A lot of people are talking about Big Boss being evil, but a player and such. But that is, yeah. No, he's not really. I actually thought that the entire thing was kind of a jerk off fantasy for the fans. To be honest,
Well,
it's very masturbatory.
I don't know. Big Boss basically betrayed us and then tried to make us like thank him.
he's like, yeah. So you get to be Big Boss now. That's always what you wanted, right? Haha. That's sort of. I don't know if it's meant to be.
It's kind of like a careful what you wish for thing in a way. It's like, oh, now you've inherited the sins of the father or whatever. You've inherited all the guilt is on you, and like, yeah, maybe you're a hero, but at what cost? And are you going to be remembered as a hero? You have to play this part. Like,
Maybe he is making a Zone of the Enders 3 successor and fulfilling that wish before doing a Silent Hills game. That would make sort of sense, right?
I'm thinking about it, and I think it'll be like a sort of Dead Space, like Soma type horror, where it's like cyber technology is leading to like disturbing situations.
I definitely think there would be two gameplay modes: being in a mech, whatever size it is, and then being outside as just the pilot.
Well,
guy
also it
running
depends
around.
on whether that skull like suit thing, that like skull inside.
I think that's an
armor.
enemy type.
You think it's like a pyramid head? It's not like
Yeah,
the player.
I think it's like a kind of berserker.
I agree with Tantos here. He says, yeah, the Venom smirks seem to imply that we would love the idea of becoming Big Boss. Nothing negative is really shown. The only negative is that Solid Snake killed Venom because of Big Boss. It's miscalculation. But Venom is actually a kind of decent person who doesn't really do much wrong in the game. I mean...
But Venom loses a lot. Like, he gets injured, he gets brainwashed, he loses people he cares about.
But he was nobody before then. That's the idea, is that he was like a non-character before all of this happened.
Well, he was...
And now
one
he's
thing I
like,
kind of
he
like
has
is
a
that
life.
he and he and Skullface had a lot in common before the whole Venom thing happened. Like they were both supporters of Big Boss that followed quietly behind, and no one really knew anything about them. To the point that Skullface, even like his history has been like erased, or like his culture has been like erased. You know, like, and then like Venom doesn't even remember who he was like before. And it's again, it's the perpetration of the Patriots. The Patriots made Skullface lose everything he had, and like Big Boss literally took away even the identity of Venom.
No, Venom is a saint compared to everyone else in Metal Gear. Even to Kaz and Ocelot from the previous. Oh, Ocelot was, speaking of saints. Wow, was he a saint in that game? In MGS5. Yeah.
Put up with so much shit from everyone. Like, oh, Quiet, you tried to kill me like 3 times. You're my best bud now.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude, you know.
The meta, just because like games have meta and stuff doesn't mean it's necessarily always well done, you know? It's like meta doesn't always make for the best thing. I think it's interesting though.
If we were more satisfied with the ending of the game, we wouldn't be so upset. People wouldn't be as upset about the meta. I think the meta is fine, it just isn't supported by an ending that's as satisfying. Like the story of everything else involving like Eli, and like clearly they were gonna do more with all that. And it just, I think people, they feel like it's a bit of a dud to have that come after everything else.
Does it seem like the island was the only, was that the only chapter that's missing, or does it seem like there are even more chapters beyond that, just we don't know what they are?
I kind of thought that he always intended to do a number of add-on chapters, and that he probably wanted to give them out for free, but Konami was like, that's too expensive. We can't do that.
But them tits, though. And Quiet comes around very quickly to your side, you know, from assassin that wants to kill you at the start, who you then burned alive, you know, and it's like, and then she just kind of comes around.
We gave her a light. She took the short way down.
We defeated her. Like it's like when you, it's like the whole thing with like a horse, like you sort of like have to try to ride them before they join your team and stop being like aggressive or whatever. It's like he battled her, she got to have her rematch, and then she was like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna sneak around the base and act
in all practicality, though, Quiet should have whipped out a notepad and like written stuff down for Big Boss. Hey, you know, Big Boss, I speak Navajo, get a Navajo translator, you know, just in case something bad happens. Like,
I mean, even if she had done that, like, would it have been as mysterious, or would it have deflated that mysterious aspect?
I think that it would have, it's just, it seems like basic, you know, intelligent sort of stuff. When I first was introduced to the concept of Quiet, I felt like she was going to be this kind of person who was not introduced to human culture, like she was beyond human civilization. Like I had no idea that she was going to be like a, I thought,
well, I mean, she has been kind of,
I thought like she literally could not speak a language because of her tongue being torn out, and then she became like a warrior in like the mountains or something. Like that's what I thought it was going to be at first. So it was very surprising. And of course
they did incorporate that tongue cutting thing though in the game. I mean, like she tried to cut that guy's tongue out in that one scene.
No, Ava, Meryl, and the boss exist, you know, they're these really cool female characters, and they don't have really anything like obvious, like the whole pen and paper sort of thing. It's just, it's a little bit of an oversight, don't you think? Very simple.
I think that from a stylistic and from a tone standpoint, having her do a bunch of obvious, like, this is the solution stuff, like, I know it corrects some, I guess you could call it a plot hole maybe, but it's just, it doesn't seem like her style to do it. I mean, even before she became Quiet, she was still really quiet, you know, like, she didn't really talk that
Antisocial.
much. Well, she was, when she was an assassin, she was just like, I'm here, I'm doing the mission, or whatever. Like, I don't even know if she even talked during that part.
She did.
But it was like, you know, she was a ninja. Ninjas are just quiet. This is just what ninjas are. And they're mysterious. I mean, like, what's his name? Shadow from, like, Final Fantasy VI is relatively
soft-spoken to the point of almost never talking. Like,
He's got a dog. He has to be a good guy.
he's got to be a good guy. He's got a dog.
That Didi was so underdeveloped. Like, they were saying in early, like, pre-release stuff that he would have a conclusion to his narrative and things like that. Like, I remember when they
Oh,
said
yeah,
that
he
he
does.
was gonna have, like, missions to himself and whatever. Bull fucking shit. That never wound up in the game. So, like...
I mean,
Mm.
they gave him those cutscenes of getting older, but it's not the same thing.
No.
Like, yeah, you get the impression that Didi had, like...
I kind of. There should have been more like, there should have been more stages of his growth.
I would have liked it if they had had, like, a version that could come with you, but wouldn't actually, like, do anything. Like, you know, like, he's, like, half-grown.
But like maybe one that just follows you around the base but doesn't come with you on the.
Yeah, at least that. Yeah, like a sort of adolescent version. It's kind of hard to distinguish between, like, you know, that whole pseudo puppy stage where it's like they're kind of older. Like it looks like a fully grown dog, kind of.
This is what we call ludonarrative dissonance right now, what I'm doing in Majora's Mask.
You mean slashing that guy up with your sword?
No.
Oh, playing the flute while he runs away frantically.
Yeah. She's naked because she's a plant. Oh yeah, no. He said Kojima was like, you will feel ashamed for your words and deeds against Quiet.
Well, I mean, they were slut shaming her, which was kind of stupid.
Yeah,
like,
but there
come
wasn't
on.
like, okay, so if the Chico was Quiet theory was true, which I would not be adverse to, despite
would
everyone
have
in
been
the
a
world
satisfying
being
explanation.
adverse to that. But if it was like if Chico had decided, oh my god, it's been fucking years, and I feel so ashamed, and I'm gonna become like this trans person or this eunuch essentially, or whatever, you know.
Well, it's like they wanted to
and-
assume the identity of a woman in order to be like a tribute to the.
Then people
Sorry.
being like, oh, it's a slut, when in fact it would be Chico like exposing like the sort of like the shame and whatever, and being embracing like a female persona and whatever. It would be that would be kind of like, yeah, I'd feel ashamed of my words and deeds, you know. But
To me, I think the reason that she's like this is because it's like one of her ways of communication. Like it's sort of like how, you know, when you're deprived of like a sense, like the other senses get stronger. So she uses like this sort of sexual imagery as a way of expressing herself. Like, you know how in Harry Potter the ghosts like would put like mold on the food so that they can taste it stronger? Well, like she's doing this extreme weird behavior because it's like it communicates things that words can't.
The mold on the thing is such an obscure reference. Like, I can't believe, like,
I
I
know.
forgot about that even, and then you're like, oh wait, I remember that now.
It just
That's weird.
it seems like a potent symbol because it's like the idea of like being a ghost. It's like, how do you enjoy the physical world? Like when you have no sensation, and I don't know. But, like,
Ocelot and Miller should have gone with you on missions. Like, I don't care. Like,
That would have been kind of cool, like that they had them more often. Because I really wanted to hang out with Ocelot because it was so cool. Like in that first mission when you were saving Miller, like it's like they could only do one mission with them. Like they only had room for one mission, and it's like, oh, there could have been more. Huey could have made Miller into a cyborg. That would have been cool.
Tattle,
Well,
this isn't a
like,
fucking good time.
Miller
Tattle,
outright rejected
Tattle, this isn't a
cyber-
fucking good time. Tattle, you
His
fucking
body or his-
idiot! You fucking idiot, Link!
Yeah.
Aliens are invading! You
What did Link think?
What?
You'll see in the stream if you like are watching.
Isn't that your horse? Wow, talk about J.J. Abrams bloom. Like there's like freaking so many like lens flares.
Shoot the lens flares.
I guess that's just, you know, it's like that's why it's like Star Trek, because it's got aliens and now there's lens flare. I like how in episode 7 they use lens flares sparingly, but they put them in the most extreme places.
like the
It's
most
an
like
interesting
huge
way that like
moments.
the lens flares are actually helping you aim by lining them all up.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what their purpose is to help you figure out what direction you should be aiming. There's one like close to the house. Oh, there's two now. How many of these are there? This is actually very similar to the quiet mission, in that you have to destroy things that are like at a distance in order to protect like a woman, except instead of a like a well, you have to protect the entire farm actually.
Can't barrel roll into those things.
God, this is tense shit. This shit freaked me the fuck out when I was a kid. I'm not gonna lie. And you're supposed
like
to
mommy-
Why are
do
there aliens in my
this
fantasy?
on you're supposed to do this on horseback, and then you just fucking it's so hard if you try to do it that way. So I don't recommend. 0 out of 10. Would not horse again. MGS
I hate when
5's
there's
use
a
of lens
level like
flares
this.
was not grotesque. I actually thought it was fine. Like, I've
When there's-
seen
when
lens
there's-
flares in movies that are a ton worse than in MGS 5.
The microphone turned on, Ben.
It's on?
It's not turned on because I'm trying to say I don't hate the levels like this. I'm saying I hate it when there's a level like this and one of the enemies gets hidden behind something so you can't fight them.
Yeah, I agree,
Like
Joe.
if like one of the enemies is behind a wall and it starts like taking hostages or whatever and you don't know it's doing it. I also hate in oh my god. Okay, so enemy examples of enemies behaving weirdly is in BioShock Infinite. Sometimes the enemies will get stuck behind something and you can't find them for hours and hours, and you're like, where? Not hours, but for minutes. It's like, where the hell are they? And then eventually they like accidentally get blown up, and you're like, oh, they're there.
It's funny, a lot of the time, there's this one particular beast in Bloodborne that fall under the floor in Old Yarnum.
And so we couldn't find them.
Yeah. But no, you could see them, and they'd like swipe up at you, and
But
you
you
could
couldn't do
only
anything.
you could only like attack them by like using a powered up slash that like could
There was
cut
this
through the floor.
screeching creature, like in Old Yarnum, that like would be behind a house. And so the first couple times I went there, it would always be screeching, and I'd be like, "Is this a glitch? Why is this happening?" And eventually, I found it back there, and I was like, "Step, step." There we go. All taken care of.
I think the design of that is there's a werewolf you're supposed to see
You know,
first, and you're supposed to try to sneak up on it,
it's-
and then it screeches and alerts the werewolf right when you're right. And
It's
Right next.
it's
and then it
it's implied that this girl is like either lobotomized or probed in some sort of horrible sexual way if she gets abducted by aliens. It's kind of messed
Well,
up.
I mean, I don't know how they imply it's sexual, but I mean,
Well-
alien lore, I guess.
Well, probing is generally considered a sexual thing in terms of alien mythos.
I mean, it's definitely.
I thought it was just like
Intrusive
examination.
I think it's more like she went.
Well,
insane.
like for
she's-
for example, like in Mysterious Skin, you had alien abduction as a metaphor for child molestation. So, it's not unheard
Yeah,
of.
but it means lots of things. Like sometimes, like in Indiana Jones, it's like cultural, like shock or like the adverse effects of knowledge on somebody that's not prepared for it. So like it can mean all kinds of things. It's definitely though a deeply
Damaging.
disturbing kind of thing, because it's like your world is being changed by the experience, and your perception of what is and isn't is like being altered.
I really like that mask.
They don't just invade the planet, they invade your worldview, like when aliens show up.
I don't know. I can never interpret things from a Japanese cultural standpoint. Even when I look things up, you're taking someone else's word for it. Unless you're from that culture, it's really hard to say like what the culture thinks of
It's
anything.
weird.
So I
Like,
just kind
in a lot of
I just
manga-
interpret everything that's Japanese from a Western perspective, and it's not like I'm incorrect in my interpretation, because it's
Yeah.
like the thing is that that all analysis
Well, they're
is
aware of
like
Western culture.
rhetoric and subjective, and we don't know what they were thinking, and we can never truly know the intent of anything because the creator can always have lied or like not have known really.
I generally trust creators except for Hideki Anno, because like I can tell when he's lying.
Holy shit. Holy shit, what is going on with the background here? Are you guys seeing this? The floor turned to the sky. What the hell? The ground, it's gone. Okay, now it's
As
back.
soon as it happens, you're bringing a bunch of chickens with you.
Yeah. Chicken.
So okay, so oh god, yeah, the floor is this guy. This is weird.
So I don't know what Japanese think of alien abductions, but I don't think it particularly
Okay,
matters.
well, in terms of just aliens in general, it seems like in Japan they represent immigrants and like cultural, like exposure, which is like I guess because like in a lot of manga that's what they seem to represent. And I don't know if that's because of World War II or the Sakoku period of Japan or something, but like in America, aliens are like communists or like like they're some sort of invading army that's like conquistadors. I mean sometimes like in District 9, but that's not necessarily just American, that's like an international film. But still like like there's movies where it doesn't mean that, but oftentimes aliens represent terrorists or Nazis or something weird like that.
Aliens can mean a lot of things. That's true.
In the movie Signs, there are demons. They like represent like demonic like forces, so that's kind of weird.
Will 10 bomb shoes be enough? Hopefully, yes. Oh. It's really interesting. I actually think that the fact that the guards let you in, like, out of Clocktown because they're like, oh, you have a sword, you're a man, that actually placates into the surreal nature of this game and how you were, like, once older Link and stuff, and you have, like, it's like almost like people recognize you as being an adult despite the fact that you're not. And I think that it's super weird. I don't know, like, it feels so strange, like, purposefully strange. Oh, shoot. I don't want any bombs. I'm gonna have to roll for them in the field. Okay. Hideaki Anno, as far as I know, I don't know if he's ever lied about his stuff, but a lot of people say he says things. Like I've heard people say, oh yeah, he said this! And it's like, it's all just like, who fucking, where are your sources coming from? I remember a YouTuber, AJ Cosplay, implied that he didn't even like his own work. And I've never seen an interview where he said that.
That is so doubtful. Like, he is such an unabashed nerd.
And I'm like, where did you get that from? And he was like, the Ava Geeks wiki, but that post is gone now. And it like, oh, well... Like, what the hell am I supposed to be thinking?
Like, the first sign, like, the most obvious sign that he's a liar is that part where he's like, oh yeah, the Evangelion symbolism. He's like, we just did it because it was cool. Bullshit. Okay? There are so many connections that actually make sense. Like, just the Lilith thing. I could write, like, an entire, like essay.
No,
about
he
all
said
the
that
shit
the
is
name
really-
Evangelion was there to sound cool. People bloated it up into a fake rumor, basically. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, I get that it is cool. Like, I know that the coolness factor was important because it does make the franchise very different from other mecha franchises. But like, it's obviously not the only reason. And like, people are kind of being blind if they're really like, oh yeah, none of this stuff is meaningful. When like, it's like conflating angels with aliens. Like the idea that like angels and humans are like a similar kind of concept with like the whole, they're just souls with different states of bodily being. The whole AT field thing. Like there's so much stuff that actually does make sense with the symbolism. And people are like, oh no, there's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. You haven't watched the show recently if you don't think that it means anything.
I can explain the religious symbolism. And it's not going to be super complex and it won't be mind-blowing, but I alluded to this in the Sex and Death video. But I think it's just there to be a representation of grave markers, like with the crosses and stuff like that. I mean, we see Misato having it used as a symbol of carrying a burden of her father. It's like, it's a symbol of burden, and it's a symbol of, like, essentially, from what I can gather, a burden, sacrifice, and death. And very reasonably so. I
like,
don't...
everyone that's connected to a cross has to deal with one of those concepts.
Like, when Misato passes on the cross to Shinji, she sacrifices herself. That is, you know, that is purposefully done. It's not
and she's putting all of the pressure on him.
It's never been a commentary about religion. It's been used to exonerate qualities of the characters using a religious mythos. That's like, that's what people are kind of like fucking up, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the cross thing is kind of cool in the case of Misato because it connects her relationship with, like, Dr. Katsuragi with, like, the whole thing with Shinji and Gendo. Like, Gendo is often shown with crosses to represent that he's, like, sacrificing his integrity or, like, his morality for the sake of his mission.
You don't have to use religious symbolism to make a commentary on religion or, like, say that religion is right or wrong. It's like, it's not using it for that reason, but I'd argue it's not pretentious. I think that it does have an understanding and it has a simple grasp of what it's trying to do.
Mean, it talks about religious concepts. It talks about mortality and, like, the idea of, like, immortal being and what is the intrinsic nature of, like, a human beyond, like, the physical nature.
Yeah, I think it's the Western culture thinks that it has to be a commentary on it, when in fact I think Hideaki Anno is familiar with it. It's not that hard to be familiar with basic, like, Christian narrative.
Like, do people want, like, Evangelion to be religious or, like, friggin', like...
Yeah, like FMA, where it's like...
breaking waves.
FMA uses religious symbolism, I think, to have a commentary on religion. So
FMA is definitely talking about organized religion and government, and I think even the scientific academic, like, structure of society. Like, FMA's got a lot of authority, like, criticism.
I've heard somebody say that Digibro said that Ava's religious symbolism is pretentious, and I disagree. I think pretentious means that you have no understanding of what you're talking about. Like, that's how I define it, is when you try to speak on a subject without understanding it. And I know a lot of people do that in their everyday lives. Hell, I try to be as educated as possible, but I still fuck up all the time when I make YouTube videos. It's like, it's really hard to be perfect, even when you put in hours of research into something. But I think I don't think he's being pretentious though. Like, I don't think Anno's pretentious.
He uses the symbols pervasively and competently, and they have multifaceted meanings. Like, almost nothing that appears in the show only means one thing. And, like, the Kabbalistic stuff, Evangelion is a pretty good way to, like, if you know enough about it, it's a pretty good way to understand certain concepts from, like, Talmudic, like, Judaism.
Well, Kaudu is, to support this as well, Kaudu is a pretty good retelling of a Jesus-Judas mythos as well. I mean, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Like... Yeah,
and it's weird because he's a hybridization of Jesus and Judas.
And keep in mind, Anno didn't write that episode either. That was Satsukawa. Satsukawa's senpai.
Well, because he's basically, like, it's weird because he's an antichrist with the qualities and the character of a Christ character. Like, he's so good that you want to see him as, like, a Christ. But he's also, like, the harbinger of, like, you know, destruction, which is very antichrist. And I don't know. And then there's the whole thing of Shinji, where he's sort of John the Beloved, but he's also Judas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has to be that complicated though. It's like we have this kid who's very Jesus-like, you know, going down, and he's going down to the cross at the in the center. It's like, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, and he sacrifices himself. It's just so It's like so obviously a thing. They were thinking about it at least a little bit while writing that. It doesn't have to be like a deep commentary. I mean, just to be like, yeah, this kid is sort of Jesus-esque. I mean, like, that doesn't have to be like something super mega special. It's just like, hey, it's a bit of a retelling here, you know? Like, they're aware of what's going on in that story. So, I think people are just really extreme and harsh with their criticism of Evangelion's use of religious iconography. And if nothing else, and if it literally means like nothing else, then you're right, and it does have an atmosphere to it. You know, it creates that sense of...
Yeah, sometimes people put something in artwork just for the purpose of a motif. We don't criticize Evangelion because its symbolism of chairs isn't super deep. You know, it's like, oh yeah, Bokurano has better chair symbolism. Who cares? Oh my god.
Yeah. Eva is... well, Madoka 3 is now that, like, everything has to mean something in it, and I've always really felt like Eva was very... I mean, it has direct references to Freud. They even have it playing over the radio a lot of the time. They have episode names. It's definitely going for a psychological angle. There's a little bit of a religious angle, too. And, you know, like, but really it's mostly character drama with, like, a self-contained universe and meanings that exist within the way that the characters interact with each other. And that's the important part. Now, like... I think the interpersonal relationships between everyone is what people should be thinking about, and never really, like, you know, speculating about what each image could possibly mean. End of Eva is a pretty straightforward and quite, I think, loving extension to the people who like, when they watch it, right? It's End of Eva goes like, yeah, you can be forgiven, and the only thing that's sort of ambiguous is the ending. But the TV series was about ambiguity. It was about that, can we see this as the glass half full? And so when you see End of Eva and you're like, hey, you know, this isn't actually that negative. Like, it's like, I don't know, that's how I'm a little bit distracted, I'm sorry. I'll get to the comments in a sec. But people focus on weird things with Eva, and I'm not really sure why. I don't agree with it. I think that you can interpret anything in any way that you want, as long as you have, you know, evidence to back up your claims in a convincing way. But a lot of analysis is a lot like confirmation bias, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. It operates in a very similar way. You have to, like, you're thinking about things in how can I fit things into my interpretation of something, a lot of the time, with analysis.
Well, I mean, that's why I try to entertain, like, as many theories as possible in, like, analysis.
Yeah, the letter stuff was both, like, negative and positive, because it's like, hey, you know, even though a lot of people hated it, a lot of people really liked it. And I think Anna realizes that. I think any creator does. I would like to hope that if you're mature enough to realize that not everybody hates your work, and you know, like, there's always gonna be people who got something out of it, and that's why I think he didn't talk people down in EOE. I don't think it was a talking down thing. I don't think it was like, oh my god, you're all idiots, and I'm the, you know, the person who's got the philosophy to dish out. I think he was like, hey, thanks, and also, things will get better. We'll get better, and that was kind of that's how I take End of Eva. You know. I get a lot of shit, but you guys also loved it, so thank you. It would be so awful and unrealistic for anybody to hate the people that love them. You know? Oh no, you stupid hack. How dare you. Textualize is a lot more pessimistic. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. That series. Jesus. Textualize is... I love the show, but it is one of the most... Like, I love the show because of the serene beauty, and I think that the ending is slightly optimistic. I'm not going to spoil it, so don't spoil it because Joe's watching it right now. I've finally got him to start watching it. But the ending has a glimmer of happiness in the midst of its terrible, awful, like everything sucks. So it's not totally pessimistic, which I'm thankful for. Okay, there's a couple of reasons why I don't think it's so super pessimistic, and I really wanna talk about it, but I don't think I can without spoiling it. But there are a few things that lead me to believe that it's not totally doom and gloom. Yeah. Just I'm going no. I really want to explain myself, but like I'll save it for a different maybe a video in the future. I don't know. It was really interesting. I found Textualize, go figure, from a friend giving it to me for my N64. He was like, "Hey, I want to borrow your N64. I'll give you Textualize." And by the time it came to swap back, I took my N64 back, and he's like, "Nah, you can keep Textualize." So I just got it pawned from some guy that I knew, and that's how I figured I'd watch it. And it took me a while to actually get through it, or get through the first 2 episodes, and then once I did, I marathoned the entire thing. I was very grateful to actually check it out. And then a lot of people started to sort of notice it. Maybe it's just me actually noticing a lot of people talking about it, but people started talking about it after I did that review, which was surprising. I think that I'm glad to have exposed it, though, to a couple of people, because it is a good show, and it's artistically just amazing. Like, no matter what you think about it, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Joe, they spoiled some stuff about Textualize, so don't check out the chat. Like, the Edward Hopper influence that was in there, like, Edward Hopper was my idol while I was in art school, so I was super surprised, being like, what? 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 Yeah, no, I graduated with an arts degree, associate degree in fine art, with a minor in psychology, and... now I'm studying film, as you probably all know, and I made short films that people are extremely polarized by, but they get good grades, so what can I say? Avant-garde filmmaking is actually not supposed to be liked. Like, it's really interesting. As counter as that sounds, one thing that we learned during our avant-garde course, or my avant-garde course, was that it was very much about the individual doing something that was self-introspective, and showing people is a glimpse into that self-introspection, but it's not meant to be for the public. It's not meant to be liked by everyone. It's supposed to have only a few people kind of really get it, because it's usually very personal. It's like very, very much about personal subject matter. Oh yeah, no, Textualize is one of those shows, like, how did it get made? How was it made? Like, who made this? Who said yes, and why did they take the time to to give it a budget and work? You know, geez. Making a movie like Textualize would be very hard to accomplish in the anime industry. How the hell did they manage to do it? I really want to see some bonus features for Textualize, but I don't think that we're ever going to know much about the creation of that beast. It's gonna go along with Abe and Tanaka. Fucking I'm trying to remember his name. Tanaka. Fucking I don't know. I can't remember. But the writer is Tanaka. I don't know. He's the guy who did Digimon. So Digimon Tamers, the good one. Or the really good one anyway. From what I've seen of Digimon, it's a lot better than the schlock that you'd expect from, you know, Pokemon and stuff like that. Watching Pokemon is excruciating. Abe or Tanaka did two experiments. I think he was on both, so both of them were on both. Evangelion is an interesting compromise because it's not like avant-garde craziness, but it's not like it's not super like cheesecake easy to watch and that sort of thing.
Lane is not a blockbuster.
Lane is definitely not a blockbuster, yo.
I'd put it in the same category as like Blue Sub number 6 and Paranoid Agent.
I love Paranoid Agent. Oh my god, that show is amazing. Have you seen it, Joe? Like, did we watch it all together?
Yeah, Paranoid Agent, like, in terms of anime series, like, if we're going by pure critical and not, like, personally how much I watch them, like, Paranoid Agent is up there with, like, Standalone Complex in terms of, like, anime shows.
Yeah, it's really good. No one talks about that, but it's really good. So... we watched the Pokemon movie recently, like the Arceus one, and it was awful. I hated that movie. I don't know it.
The Arceus movie was like weird. Like I couldn't. Okay. It just the plot was frustrating, and I can tell that the lore is wrong. Like I'm almost certain that that's not what the video game says. Like,
bitch, teach me. Bitch, teach me a bonus song. Can you only do this on day 1 or something?
you sound like an angry like pimp from like a 70s movie.
The characters have so much more personality in Majora, like holy crap. In all seriousness.
Yeah, they made Malon's kid form adult form separate people. That's funny. Like Link's memories is so like it's like, you know, that could almost mean something. Like if this Link remembers being adult Link and then he has like skewed memories of Malon and like older Malon, so he made them separate people to like cope with the difference.
Someone mentioned this in the comments, by the way. A lot of people say this about Ava, but Paranoid, or Tanto said this. You know him. A lot of people say this about Ava, but Paranoid Agent feels like a David Lynch show. Agreed. Agreed. The distillation and the warping of reality and the blurring lines between what is real within the diegesis and what isn't is absolutely something that we'd see from David Lynch. And
I have no idea what is real and what is not in that show. Like, I can tell you what is real, but I can't tell you what's not.
I think Ava is pretty tangential. Like, you can usually tell what's real and what's not, and why. But Paranoid Agent isn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evangelion wants you to know what's not real, because if it's imagined, it tells you about the character. But if it's real, then it tells you about the world, and it's like it kind of has different goals that it's trying to go for at the same time with that. I think Paranoid Agent is trying to say that your experience of the world is going to be skewed by yourself because you filter everything, you know, on its way to you. Like, you can sort of control how objective your view of reality is, and sometimes you can't. You know, so you've got those two issues that get in the way.
I think David Lynch though is one of the best directors to walk the face of the fucking planet. So I love David Lynch. Surprisingly, I've not seen older or newer David Lynch. I've only seen his older works, which is surprising to me. I haven't seen Mulholland Drive. I don't know what that's like yet, and I absolutely need to. I don't believe in a lot of film students that I know have this elitism when it comes to what you've seen and what you haven't seen, and I spend all my time, like Joe knows this, he knows me. We watch movies like at least one a day, and sometimes I'll just do it on my own and just watch something a day. Like I do that a lot. Yeah, like I go to the movies a lot. I watch a lot of movies, but when it comes to like film students, they're so up themselves. Like they're like, oh, you haven't seen Singing in the Rain. Oh, you haven't seen Casablanca. What the fuck are you? Like go back and whatever. And I've seen both, but well, I fell asleep in the middle of Casablanca. But I really, the point is that with not seeing Mulholland Drive, I will get around to it, just as I will get around to seeing all these classics and stuff like that. Blue Velvet is my favorite David Lynch film. Blue Velvet is really good, and Eraserhead is fantastic. Oh my god. Eraserhead is so good. Probably one of the best first feature films anyone's ever made. I think Nolan was pretty good with his first feature film as well, speaking of which. As much as I feel mixed about Christopher Nolan, Following was not that bad. And Memento was amazing, so he followed it up excellently. I think the main reason why I feel weird about oh, Tarkovsky? Like, so you've been seeing Stalker and all that jazz? Awesome. Yeah. I think, what was I gonna say? It was something important. Gosh, I'm not thinking right now. Following had Batman logo on the dude's apartment. He knew all along. Is that actually the case? Oh yeah, Nolan. Right. Okay. Back to Nolan. Okay, the part that I really don't like about him is the way that he edits scenes, is especially in Dark Knight and Inception. As I think Dark Knight is really good, and compared to the modern Marvel superhero craze, it is head and shoulders above what we've been seeing from the quippy snippets of one-liners and cliched plots and stupid fucking flat characters. But I think that what was it? Nolan, the problem with his editing is that it's often really abrupt, and it has no patience in the viewer as to, like, it doesn't, I don't think he trusts us to not lose our patience every 5 seconds. Events happen within the story way too quickly, and way too quickly. And this is for Inception and Dark Knight. And it has to do with the way that they cut it, and the way that things are montaged together almost in this very swift way, and events happen so quickly. It's a non-stop kind of thing, even when nothing is actually happening. And that's a little weird to me. I don't like that style of editing. Spider-Man 2 is my favorite superhero movie. But as unpopular as that may sound, even though The Dark Knight is impressive from a scale and philosophically, and the writing is I just think Spider-Man is so fun, and it's not up itself at all. um, and it has a little bit of depth, you know, and not super a lot of depth, but all the Spider-Man movies, and a lot of people don't really understand this, but Sam Raimi is a screwball director. He operates under screwball comedies, and this was largely the case with the Evil Dead trilogy as well. And Spider-Man is no exception. It's a superhero movie made by Sam Raimi, so it's got horror elements and slapstick screwball comedy elements to all three movies. And they're really funny. Interstellar is the movie that a lot of people really hate, but I think that he's at least heading in an interesting direction. I wasn't quite as disenchanted with it as I was with Inception. Inception, I just felt no connection to anybody in that film or the events happening. Everything was speeding so quickly, and I just didn't care about Cobb or any of the other characters within the movie, especially any of the other characters within the movie. It was mainly about Cobb and Mal, and I think the only reason why Nolan wants to have like a ton of characters was, I actually have no idea why he wanted to have a ton of characters in Inception. What do you think Inception's meta-narrative is? I'm interested to hear your take on it.
Probably something about film and like making movies or something.
You think? Well,
What's her name?
The
Like,
film that understands it's a film has been kind of that reflexivity is what we call it in film school, is like a film about films. It's a reflexive film. I mean, you'd see this sort of stuff in like Dziga Vertov's works with like Man with the Movie Camera and Sixth Part of the World and 11th Year and how they are reflexive films about films.
I think there was a strong sense of guilt on the part of Cobb, and like there was a lot of pressure on them, but yeah, it was mainly pressure not to die.
Plus, if you've seen Twin Perfect's Fridge Logic video on Inception, they explain a lot of the plot problems with Inception, and for a script that took 10 years to write, that's quite pathetic that there are so many problems with the plot.
Some of the plot problems could have been fixed easily too. I came up with a couple rules that would have made it work better. I can't remember what they were though.
Oh, Cobb does look like Nolan. Yeah, no, I noticed that as well, actually. I didn't think that was important,
yeah,
though.
it's like Cobb is the director, and like what's it? The girl, Ellen Page is like the designer, like the cinematographer or something.
It's weird though, because we don't actually see her like design any worlds or change any of the worlds, and it's kind of like, it's so weird because it doesn't feel like she has any knowledge except when she needs to like dump information to the characters, like, oh yeah, Cobb, it's in this hospital over here, and like I don't know.
Wait, is Hattori saying that when they show Cobb's children, they're different in one scene from when they're shown later?
Are they? They look identical, but I could be wrong.
I never noticed, but they weren't that important, so maybe that's why I didn't notice.
Anyway, the entire plot is kind of ruined by a simple thing, which is just that the grandpa, who is, I can't remember if he's in Europe or America, but essentially he could just fly the kids to another country and have them meet up with their dad. It's really, it wouldn't be that hard. There are kidnapping cases all the time where when a parent is separated from their child, then they get like another relative to kidnap them. That's actually happened before. So I'm not really sure why they didn't do that. The plot, it doesn't need to exist. So, if that's the case and they all represent things in the film crew, then that's the kind of narrative that only makes sense with a great knowledge of the narrative to begin with. And
well, I mean, I kind of, from being in even school theater, I saw similarities to it from that. Like, it really felt like they were doing a producer's scheme, or like a Moulin Rouge kind of scheme.
I just think that if you're gonna be like, each character is one of the film crew or whatever, that's a really hard meta to get if you don't know about the production.
Even the Asian guys are like you know, like the investors, they're like the corporate guys that want you to do this and that
Well,
with like the movie, and you want to have a vision.
well, the thing about the meta, and now that you're mentioning this, it sort of makes sense. Then a dream, like films are dreams, right? Like that's what they say, is that a film is the Hollywood is the maker of dreams, the dream machine.
In the words of Fritz Long, with the like weirdly Bradley's face for some reason.
I've always, it's like films are supposed to be dreams. I mean, Satoshi Kon. Part of the reason why Paprika is the way it is, because it has a film buff in the movie as like one of the main characters, and it's supposed to be. Paprika is a meta narrative. Paprika is a film about films. It's reflexive. It's reflexive. It's relating films to dreams. So Nolan is extra unoriginal when it comes to that, but that's like whatever. I mean, nothing's exactly original, but yeah, it's been done. What am I doing? Right, okay. I'm supposed to be... I've been wandering around in this game for a while. I need to, like, start actually working on stuff. I was so wrapped up in the conversation. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a ripoff or it's intentional or the similarities, but they're extraordinarily similar films in many ways. And if we're talking about syntactical elements like themes, like yeah, they really if Nolan is trying to do a film edge, which I think is really he doesn't key me in on that movie being a meta about films, to be honest. Like the whole production stuff and trying to piece together a production through having like this vast array of characters and whatever, I didn't get that. I mean, apparently Joe got it, but I didn't get that. But when you have a character within Paprika who's like, oh, I wanted to be a director, that's like what I wanted to do, then instantly I'm like, this movie has a little bit more to say about the relationship between dreams and film. So I don't know. I think Paprika is better executed, but I think it might just be a coincidence that they're so similar, because it's not that hard to be like reflexivity plus dreams, in a narrative. That's pretty evident. And even before that, Millennium Actress already did that. So where it was a movie about movies about dreams and dreams in the sense of chasing dreams, like purpose dreams, not like dreams as in like sleep dreams. It was Millennium Actress is a film about dreams and films. So Saoirse Cohen got dibs on it. Teach me the song, girl. Millennium Actress is the best of the three. If we're throwing in Millennium Actress with versus Paprika and Inception, oh geez, it's no competition, yo. Yeah, well, I mean, Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is a film about films again. Holy shit. Yeah. So it even goes before Millennium Actress. Perfect Blue has an actress working in the film industry. And the it's not necessarily about chasing dreams as much as Millennium Actress is. But What it is about it's about someone existing within the film industry who is in a surreal dreamlike state. And so it is definitely relating the dream to the film, but it's a little bit less obvious than Coen's other films about it. And it uses that David Lynch like sort of form of cuts, which has been commonly described to as surreal in like film, like, you know, transitions in between reality and fantasy in a way that doesn't key you in on things easily. So, man, Coen's been going down this path for like, oh wow, like a long time. Probably Tokyo Godfathers is the only one I can think of where it's not evidently about either of those things. So, I think there are allusions to it though, like allusions, not illusions, allusions. I remember the fairy godmother part reminded me a lot of Disney, and so instantly we get some kind of like reference to a film. I don't get how Black Swan's ending is better. She's consumed by her, like, herself instead of growing. Like, in Perfect Blue, it's about Mima sort of coming to terms with the fact that she doesn't need to care about what other people think about her as, like, as a person and an actress. You know, like, part of the hardship was transitioning for her throughout that movie. And so she goes at the end, I am myself. Totally Ava style. It's like totally like Ava style, like right there. And she goes like, yeah, no, I am myself, like I'm me, you know. And she has this conflict between the person she wants to be, the actress, and the person other people kind of like are pressuring her to be. You know, a sellout, a sex icon, an idol, and everybody's sort of forcing her into what they want her to be, and at the end she's like, I have to be me, and she achieves that, and at the end she becomes a successful actress. And I think that it's a story that is extremely optimistic compared to Black Swan, which is about someone getting consumed by their pressures and then dying. They're completely pressured into what everybody else wants them to be, and spiral down into a suicidal tendency, and then explode and implode, and it's sort of, it's very odd because they're so the same except for their thesis. Like that. It's so interesting. Well, the agent, you have to keep in mind that it was Welsh foreshadowed. The agent used to be a pop idol. You keep that in mind, because they talk about how like the agent cares so much about her because she feels bad. She's a pop idol that did not succeed, and then was let go and became the agent that she is now. And so when you think about it, the identity and the duality of it, and the failed older woman that she could become versus the younger one, it's totally all there. It's all set up very well. It's very poetic, very good. And in Perfect Blue, Nina had that one actress, Lopez? I don't know. I don't know. What's her face? Who am I trying to think of? It's not a sharp turn to do. I think that I've rewatched Perfect Blue several times, and I don't think that it's that sharp of a turn. How is it cheap? Can you articulate why you think that? Like why do you think that? We can talk about it. Maybe, I mean, I don't have to change your opinion, but... There's a pretty funny glitch, by the way, over here. Hold on. Let me save state since I'm on an emulator so I can do it. I don't mind if you can't explain, by the way. It's not a big deal. You can actually pick this guy up, and then he gets up. And it'll just forever walk in your grasp, and the game is basically broken. So, that's pretty lol.
Like, Michael, you're committing necromancy.
I know. It's pretty funny, isn't it?
I don't even know how you accomplished that.
Is it though? Is it so neat? I mean, the smile at the end that Mima gives is really ambiguous. I don't necessarily think it's all that neat, and the creepy factor of it being the agent, I think the weirdness of it, but it's still well foreshadowed, and I think it's symbolically as well integrated. Like I said, where you have the counter of the anxiety of somebody who has failed and became older and wants to be. She used to be a pop idol, and then she failed and became an agent. And it's just that path that Mima could take. And I don't know, I feel like the fact that it is out there actually placates into the creepiness of it, but that's something subjective. I mean, obviously, I can see your perspective on it and why that might feel weird. Maybe a couple more scenes would have worked in its favor. My biggest problem with Perfect Blue, which I don't have a problem with, but some people do, like Ben at the Stage had a problem, is that it requires like 3 people to be simultaneously mentally ill to a severe degree. You have to have the person who's obsessed with Mima, Mima's agent, and Mima, and they all have to be hallucinating very similar things that it's like a mass hallucination. Which is stretching it a little bit, but you know, I don't really have a problem. It's about suspension of disbelief. I mean, if you're gonna buy it, then you'll buy it, and if you don't, then you don't. Well, all I can say to that is that Ava has pretty good reasons for why the characters would be messed up, and I don't think anybody who, like, if you had teenagers forced to save the world, I think they would all be pretty messed up, to be honest. Like, that's pretty naturalistic to me. And I thought it was naturalistic that Gendo and Misato, who they're fucked up people, but they're pretty good at hiding it, which speaks to most of everyone. If you're well adjusted, you're just kind of like, a lot of the time you're just better at hiding it. Like your worries about stuff. It's seriously hard to get to I would imagine that it would be seriously hard to be totally like 100% sane, quote unquote. I know I'm not. I've got a fuck ton of issues, but who cares to talk about that? We don't need to talk about that. They live in extreme world, and one thing is that they don't require therapists and things like that. And I don't know. I think realistically there would be a therapy sort of going on, but I've actually heard a couple of defenses that were pretty convincing as to why Shinji and pals aren't like treated with the care that they need. And it's essentially to make them more malleable during Third Impact and when the events of Third Impact are going to be. They need to be inactive members of Nerve for Gendo's plans to go forth, and I think that's a reasonable explanation. The fact that they don't explain therapists isn't a problem. I actually think bringing it up might have been more of a problem, to be honest. Like why they aren't, like, having people being able to speculate on something is probably sometimes better than just if you come up with an explanation, it's not a good explanation, then you're screwed. But if you need something that's not really that required for the story, maybe it's better to leave it ambiguous and not go into why that's not a thing, because then people can just think about it and speculate themselves. Now, the swimming in Majora's Mask 64 is really good. I think if the biggest criticism you have about Ava, there are some pieces of criticism that I can understand, and then there are some that I can't. And if your biggest criticism of Evangelion is that they don't have therapists, you need to be better in terms of criticizing it. I guess it's a fair one to fling at it, but it feels kind of cheap. So, and I think those are all good explanations that you guys are talking about. A lot of people in America do that as well, by the way, deny that their kids have learning disabilities, and Misato even at one point denies that Shinji has super big problems. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure there was a scene where she goes like, you know, he's got some issues, but he'll get over it, you know, everyone does. And a lot of people are dismissive about really extreme psychological problems. Even Misato at the end is kind of like, as an adult figure, she treats Shinji's like distress about killing Kaoru with very little empathy, and that's it like the adults aren't so much concerned as they maybe should be about certain things, and that could be a theme. That could be something that maybe they were trying to go for. I've seen Ava over and over and over again, and you know, I think I gave like the TV series like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 on what, Hummingbird or my anime list or something, but I don't care. It's like an amazing show. I rewatch it all the time, and it's like, I think of it in my heart as a 10 out of 10. And the only reason I rate it lower is because I generally do empathize with a lot of the criticism hurled at the TV series for navel gazing. I empathize with that. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but I can see how that might lower the quality, and It's weird because some things I rate for myself. Like Erase doesn't deserve a 1 out of 10, but for me it was like a 1 out of 10 show, so I just like fucking rated it whatever I felt like. And yeah, it's sort of like, am I doing it for myself or am I doing it for others? I don't know. Some days it's like whoever. Shinsekai Iori is in many ways not a good show, and I still love it. Navel gazing. When people say navel gazing, Tantos, they mean like the exposition and internal monologues. So that's what they mean by that. So characters like sit down and they're like, I feel this way about this, and that's, people don't like it because it's easy. It's like, it's cheap writing. To just say what characters feel about something. And I can kind of get that. It doesn't do that super often, but in episodes like, I think was it 14? I think 14 did it with Ray to a large degree. Half of it was recap, and then half of it was Ray going like, I am the mountain, I am the sun. And it's like, and that sort of thing is poetic, and it makes sense actually for Ray's character. I'm just gonna use that for character dynamic because, or character analysis. So I'll actually save my interpretation of what I think of some of that stuff. But some of it is pretty easy to get, which is, it's good for me. It's good for me doing analysis videos, because analysis videos are, they're rhetoric and it's coming up with a narrative. And so if I can explain Ray's character, thanks to them just saying it, that's easy for me. That makes my life easy. So, hey, Spiral Power, what's up? Well, there's also some stuff with Shinji, you know, like when Shinji talks to himself, and all that sort of jazz. Again, it really only is bad if you mind that kind of thing. I don't, so. I don't know what Twitch does, but we've been talking about Perfect Blue and Ava and stuff like that. It's been interesting, actually. And Christopher Nolan and David Lynch and all the good peeps. But yeah, I mean, like, when piecing together character videos, my Shinji video is one of my favorite videos I've done. And it makes my life easier when the characters just say what they are doing. That being said, there's a couple of things in Ava that aren't explained, that aren't just directly told up front. I think Shinji's, subservience and willingness to listen to authority no matter what is something that isn't kind of obvious from the get-go. It's not just outright told. Asuka is histrionic, not narcissistic. That's something that's not outright told. Attention seeking does not necessarily mean you love yourself. But that's what a narcissist is someone who genuinely loves themselves. Like, histrionic is someone who believes that they need to get attention, that they want that they crave that. Oh, calm the fuck on. My thoughts on Christopher Nolan is that he's actually really good. He's really good, but There are a couple things about his editing I'm not a particular fan of, and I'm not particularly a fan of some of his tendencies to write loads of characters, even for the sake of a meta-narrative. I think it's a little weird. Like, Dark Knight was cut very rapidly, and I felt like it never stopped to smell the roses or really trust the audience wouldn't lose patience in what was happening in the film. A lot of it was exposition and cutting, but that being said, Memento is a fantastic film, and The Dark Knight is certainly a good film. So is some of his other movies. If you've seen The Prestige, that's a good one. So I think that he can range from either good to very good. Oh, he's not better than Kubrick. What are you, nuts? Are you fucking nuts? He's not better than Kubrick. Who fucking said that? Oh my god. Better than Kubrick? Holy Jesus. Yeah, it's stuff like that I kind of take issue with, the way that the films are cut, or some of his cutting, and not that great. I appreciate that Nolan does a lot of practical effects as well. That's something that's really neat. Though at the expense of being... Fuck! What the fuck was that? What the fuck? Did you guys see that shit? That was so unfair.
What just happened?
I guess I'll see it when it happens. Oh, they came to life and then they got you.
Yeah.
I thought you were freaking out. There were even Gerudo here.
No.
I didn't know there were Gerudo in this game. Clearly, I haven't finished this game.
I wasn't able to get past that Gerudo. It like blocked my path, and then it just
I
fucking.
had no idea they even had Gerudo in Majora's Mask.
You didn't?
No, I thought Gerudo only lived in Hyrule. I was like, what?
Paul Thomas Anderson is a great director, in my opinion. I know that's a controversial statement. Actually, saying that you like anybody is a controversial statement. But, Paul Thomas Anderson, probably one of my favorite films from him is actually Punch Drunk Love. Now that film feels like the Charlie Kaufman film Charlie Kaufman didn't write. I think it's sublime, and which is funny because you hack like Adam Sandler, right? But maybe that's even some of the point, because I remember Paul Thomas Anderson in some of the interviews made a huge deal about Adam Sandler being in it, and it's almost like Adam Sandler films. I think someone actually said that it was like bringing Adam Sandler to an Adam Sandler archetype to the logical conclusion that an Adam Sandler archetype would actually be like a creepy, somewhat manic, insane, anxious character. Like it's so interesting. Sandler, of course, was made for that role. Or the role was made for Sandler, but Sandler can be a great actor. He just isn't, because he's a money-making motherfucking like piece of shit. I have no idea why he'd sign on to a Paul Thomas Anderson film, and like, but I'm glad he did. It is an art house Sandler comedy. And I've seen some people interpret it as like a retelling of Superman. I think it's a retelling of Popeye, actually. I don't know if there's any evidence for that, but well, actually there is. What am I talking about? Okay, so some of the music in the are taking motifs and lyrics and like songs from the Popeye movie, and of course you have the main lady who's dressed in red. And so there's this Popeye relationship actually within the film. Go figure. Instead of spinach, you have pudding. But of course, it's much more. It's much more than just that, right? So, well, in my opinion. Motherfucker. There we go. Motherfucker. I only have 3 bottles? Okay, this is gonna be a problem. Or 2 bottles. Isn't that sad that Punch Drunk Love made like almost nothing? It's so sad. It's so sad. Possession? You mean that one that's, supposed to be like Antichrist before Antichrist? It's an older film, right? Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I tried to, desperately, because I heard people compare it to Lars von Trier's Antichrist. And I'm very, very into Lars von Trier's Antichrist. So I wanted to see where it was getting its influence from. But I've yet to see it. I wanted to, though. I got to see The Wicker Man last year, the original, and that was actually really good.
What's the name of the film where the girl like has the whole thing with?
You guys did a lot of.
What were we saying, Joe?
I was talking, and I didn't. There were other people in the house talking, so I was waiting until they were done.
Oh, I've seen
so,
I've seen most of Lars von Trier's notable films. Melancholia, yes. Go on, Joe. Sorry.
I was asking if Possession. I'm always forgetting which one Possession is. There's the movie where the girl has like the thing with there's like her father, and then like there's like a creepy guy that like she kills, and like she starts to go insane.
We haven't seen Possession, I don't think, unless you saw it on your own.
There's some movie we watched together where this girl goes crazy in a hotel or whatever, and then like nobody knows. Oh, she like kills the guy and like nobody.
Repulsion.
Like, and then, like,
that's Roman Polanski's Repulsion. So.
Repulsion. Okay, I wondered. Roman Polanski directed that?
Yeah, Roman Polanski directed that.
Is he the Chinatown guy?
Yeah, he is the Chinatown guy. He's also...
He has weird relationships with women, apparently, because everything... I mean, I know that goes without saying, because it's Roman Polanski, but, like, his portrayals of women are, like, strange. I don't know if they're sexist, but they're weird.
He's not often credited for Chinatown, by the way, because apparently the screenplay writer levied most of the work from the project. Like,
yeah, but like the actual meaning of the ending, which is like one of the things people talk about, is like very autobiographical for him and his family. So it's like in terms of like his wife, like this was before he got in trouble, even though they're similar. It's weird. It's like he's expressing his own guilt about his own actions while also his grief over like his real life.
Antichrist does not have it has a balanced view of men and women. It thinks they're both horrible. So, like...
Well, I always thought Antichrist was just showing, like, what happens when, like, everything goes wrong.
It's... The best way to put it, in my opinion, is that It's a film about a woman who is thought and demonized, basically, but she actually is more of okay, let me start over.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of demonization. Like she thinks she's evil, so she becomes like
Her
dangerous.
husband tries to control her throughout that entire movie.
Yeah.
And even though he's presented to have good intentions, what he is doing is wrong on many levels.
Well, it's like he's passive aggressively manipulating her, and then she's aggressively like controlling him.
Yeah, so the thing is that the male and the female in that movie are they're stereotypes of what men and women tend to do to each other. And it's sort of like, it's like man versus woman in the ultimate battle of who will kill each other first.
Yeah, it's like the man is like trying to protect her but fucking it up, and the woman is like trying to control him by just like restricting him.
It's sort of like, it's weird. Like, it portrays both men and women to be not great. So I think it's a balanced argument. I just think that it's
a very strong argument for
it's very negative.
not treating the people you're related to as a psychologist. Like, this is what happens when you try to be a shrink for your own wife.
True. Antichrist did have a misogyny expert, actually. It had several feminist scholars and several like people who worked on it. It's a film.
If you're gonna have
It's a film based on a lot of research about past views of women and men.
yeah, like if you're gonna have a character who's a sociologist or a psychologist or any kind of college expert on its subject, like you should have real experts making the character, unless you want the character to be full of shit. Like if you're creating a character like Cliff from Cheers, it's okay for him to not know shit about what he's talking about, because that's the whole point.
But yeah, no, a lot of people don't think that it's actually sexist. Like, critic Mark Kermode doesn't think Antichrist is sexist. He does think, though, that Breaking the Waves is sexist. But I actually really like Breaking the Waves, so...
I think he misunderstood the ending. Like, I don't know. Okay, like, can I just warn people I'm gonna talk about Breaking the Waves spoilers? Like, like, he thinks that the thing at the end with, like, the whole afterlife, like, representation means that, like, her skewed view of what she was supposed to do was being rewarded, when I always thought it was that she was basically not being punished for breaking the mores of the community.
She was
like,
pressured by society and beaten down and like by these religious people, and then it turned out that they weren't the ones who were like right about her going to hell. She's still going to heaven because she's a good person, and she did it because she loves
she
someone.
didn't deserve to be damned, and like the movie would have sent an even worse message if that had happened. But like, it's like Kermode thought that the movie was rewarding her self-destruction as like, this is what women should do, they should destroy themselves. And I'm like, no, that's not what the movie's saying. The movie is saying that when somebody makes a mistake, that they're not unclean or unworthy just because something goes wrong in their life. You know, like, she was a good person in the end, and that was what mattered. Well, see, the thing about not needing a military general for Darth Vader is there's no military general who's an expert on fighting wars in space, like, with experience doing so. I mean, yeah, we've got spies who use satellites, but no military expert has stood on the deck of a Star Destroyer shooting at, X-Wing. Besides that, Darth Vader's not very academic. Like, Palpatine's just like, kill some kids, okay, you're in charge now. Like, okay, to be fair, he wasn't. No, I'm full of shit, because he was in the Clone Wars for years.
Yeah, he was
and he trained like
general.
people and stuff. But anyway,
How dare you, Joe?
I know, I completely forgot. That's like me saying that Guts doesn't know about war when he was a mercenary for years. Like, I know Griffith makes probably a better comparison, but whatever.
Lars von Trier is the best at making you feel miserable. Oh man. I actually was very. I think Michael Haneke is actually the best at making me feel miserable, though. Like.
Haneke does make me feel bad. Wait, who directed the York movie? Like the
that was Lars von Trier. That was Lars.
Oh crap! I always do this. I always think Haneke movies are Lars von Trier and Lars von Trier movies are Haneke. They're different, but they're in the same genre of like really fucked up movie that's really good.
I'm just gonna let you all know up front that this rant is gonna be totally unfair. Some might even say a little bit mean-spirited, but it's something that I find really interesting and that I want to talk about. I've made a bunch of tweets about this in the past, about what I find to be the most boring taste in anime.
I hear the voice of Digibro.
Like, you know, someone who's new and they just like Naruto and Bleach and Sword Art Online or something like that. Like, I'm talking about people who are really into anime, usually people who comment on it, who are on the forums, or on 4chan, who might even make YouTube videos about anime, and just have a taste that bores me to tears. And I mostly see this kind of taste because I go on 4chan's anime manga board on /3. There's like a lot of these 3x3 threads. So basically, people will make a 3x3 image of their top 9 favorite anime, and threads like every day. And it's mostly the same people keep posting them. But like, there's certain shows that you'll see on almost everyone's 3x3 list, and there's like a certain type of 3x3 that I almost feel like is posturing, or it's like people are basing their 3x3 on what 9 shows will make them look the smartest and coolest.
I'm heading out,
Like
Joe.
what 9 shows make you
Yeah.
look like you have great taste, make you look like
Probably
you
that's
are
Evangelion and
are
Cowboy
a
Bebop on
seasoned
there.
veteran and you know your stuff. And I find it incredibly boring. And none of them are bad shows. And I've seen, you know, plenty of 3x3 lists who have some of these shows, but other ones, and like I really get the sense that the person really cares about the 9 shows on their list. You know, I get excited when I see a favorites list that I feel like really tells me something about that person, other than that they are trying to project an image of having great taste in anime. You know. If you look at my top 9 list, it says that I'm someone who likes shows that have a lot of shit going on. You know, that's
Fucking-
generally the case is I like shows that have as many ideas packed in as possible, as much stuff going.
I don't know why Digibro has nothing else to make. That's really lame, actually. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pretend and sit here like. I mean, I consider him to be actually like a friend. I don't know, like maybe just a little bit, but at the same time, that sounds absolutely fucking negligible and preachy. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm a preachy motherfucker, like honestly, but that's some like what the fuck, like who cares? Like I'm preachy when I think of it as like a problem.
It's
Like
weird.
like-
Mike was talking about.
it's not a weird
Yeah.
coincidence because
You're
I was
recent.
listening to it.
He's saying that like something he said was really preachy.
Yeah, telling people how to feel about fucking.
Wait, was I playing that Digi video with the microphone on?
Yeah, you were.
Oh, that's why you were talking to that Digi. I thought it was some kind of weird coincidence. I was like, what are the odds? Well, okay, I think what he's trying to say is that he wants people to pick the shows that are really their favorites, and that tell us like, you know, he wants to know more
Who
about
gives
a
a
person
fuck?
from looking at their favorite list.
Who gives a fuck? Like
Well,
honestly.
I mean, people can just put like whatever is like, if they're just doing an objective best list, then yeah.
It's a
you know.
social media like trend. It doesn't matter. It's not important.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, but
Sort of on the
boring.
same level
Boring
as a
isn't
meme.
about a moral obligation to do something. When something's boring, nobody's committing any crimes. It's not wrong to be boring.
So
it's just,
wait.
it's a recreation. aspect.
You're defending like somebody telling other people what to do with their social media. Like, I don't know.
But no, you're not listening to the nuances of what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that, like, it's when somebody says something's boring, they're not saying that there's an obligation for them to do it. They're just saying that it would be more interesting to see them do something else. It's like nothing has to. No one has any duty to entertain Digi with their lists, or to even inform Digi about who they are with their lists. But it's like, it's just more interesting to learn something about the person from their list, you know?
I thought this wasn't him instructing anyone to do anything at all. It's just what he
He's
thought
just
on
saying
the
why
subject.
he does things the way he does them, I guess.
Why do I care?
Anyway.
Not
Well, like,
important to me. So, like, this is just one of those things where I'm like astonished that like RC Anime's like New York video, like, why do I care? And that's like one of those
This
things.
has nothing to do with that, though. This is like
No.
somebody
It's just a subject that I feel like is a waste of video. Like,
Well,
and I
I've
do
always
videos that
really
are a waste
loved-
of video, but
Have you ever seen the DeviantArt influence meme, where like you show a bunch of pictures of stuff that's influenced your work?
But
and
it's
it's
it's like me making a YouTube video and going like, oh, I hate these I'm tired of these vapid tweets that keep saying that like something is great, you know, like right out of the box. It's just like, I don't care. Who cares?
But it's like, this is more interesting because like it's like, you know, it's the opportunity to have sort of an autobiographical quality to something simple. It's like you actually do get to know another person more through this thing, and it's like an interaction, and it's just like it's just he just expressing why he does it the way he does it, and why he thinks it's more interesting to be really honest about which shows are your favorite. And I mean, I'm sure there's some guy
I don't know why you're painting this out to
all
be
their
like
favorite shows are like Aria, and like they like Monster, and like the Galactic Heroes, and I don't know, Ideon, and like Ghost in the Shell, or like Angels. I'm just basically describing anime every day. Anyway, so anime every day's list is sincerely like one of these lists, and that's great because that is like anime every day's. That's who he is, you know.
that's what he likes.
But like, I don't know, like Alex is gonna have, you know, our friend Alex, right? He's gonna have, why can't I think of his name? Gilgamesh on his list, probably, you know. Or like, you know, Digi's, obviously he's got K-On! On his list, or, you know, like.
I don't care.
It's cool. I want to know about my friends. I want to know about people that I'm interested
Well,
in.
am I
wanna learn
allowed
about
to
others.
have the public opinion that I think that it doesn't matter and that it's like stupid to talk about? I mean, like, why can't I have
Yeah, I
that
don't think
opinion?
it's stupid to talk about anything. It's like fun to talk. I mean, people have long. I mean, the Nostalgia Critic has a video where he talks about the
It's-
nature of fart jokes.
It's fine.
just
It's
recreational
fine
to-
if you
to
don't
discuss
think
things.
if you don't think it's stupid. I just think it's stupid. Like, we're just at a disagreement here.
But
So
I mean, like, he's saying that it's boring to not to do something in a certain way, and you're saying it's boring for him to do something in a certain way. So in a way, you're
I'm not unaware of the hypocrisy
Like,
here.
yeah, everyone's bored by things. Like, everyone gets bored sometimes.
I'm not
you know?
like
It's like
I'm
what
not
Concept
like
says.
unself-aware about that. I actually did just cover my ass by saying like I do this all the time. So it's like, but the thing is that
Yeah,
that I
But I
I
mean,
just don't. It doesn't make it like good in the long run. It doesn't make it like a good
maybe
video.
He's turned to be boring to you because it was interesting to me. So maybe he just can't please everyone all the time. Sometimes people
Well,
just
yeah,
do
you
something that
can't
doesn't
please
fit.
everyone all the time, but I still don't think that talking about what people do with their social media 3x3, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? It's like saying you
I
care about
fucking
how
cares.
people like you care about how what people write in their rap videos when they're doing that anime challenge. It's like
But
that's
it's like
it's exactly the same as that.
I actually learn about people when they do influence lists.
Oh, I
and
learn
they-
about
people
people
they
too
do-
when they do
What?
rap videos as well. You know, like, oh, your lyrics need to describe who you are.
I mean, I care. Like when I hate the question "Who cares?" because they oftentimes when I hear people say it, they're basically saying like that they don't think my opinion is one of the opinions. Because like I'm saying I care as a premise, And then people always say, "Who cares?" And it's like you're basically saying, "I'm not someone," or like my opinion doesn't matter. It's
Wow.
like,
That's
if even
reading
one
into
person
it.
likes something, then that opinion matters.
You're
I
reading
mean,
too
yeah, it's
into
not
this.
a big deal.
That's
not
it's a
the end of the
saying.
world.
It just means that I don't care. It's saying like I personally don't
But
care, and you know that. You
Yeah,
know
but it,
that.
like-
So why is this a
Kind
big
of.
deal?
Because the phrase tries to have like a bigger implication. It tries to reach out to more than just. It was like I don't care.
Okay,
it's
stop
like-
it. Stop
then
talking
it
about
just
this right
tells
now.
you.
Please, just stop talking about this like right now. Like I'm done. I'm so done.
There's easier ways to change the conversation.
Yeah. Now the game looks like it crashes like whenever you take a picto box, but it's not actually like crashing. I can't respond to your Skype messages, Joe. I can't even read them when I'm like this. Just to let you know. Ugh. Gonna try to read your messages. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pause this real quick. Okay. Look, I don't care if like he thinks whatever anybody else thinks about my opinions on that video. That was stupid. The video was fucking dumb, in my opinion. And I'm sure that it's like I don't care if he knows that. He makes good videos. Doesn't sound like him that's one for me. Oh yeah, I have to go give the guy the frickin' pictograph. Yeah, nobody will remember 3x3s in 2 years. It's not. It's a fad. And I know people who just do it because they want to make pictographs or like the 3x3s look nice. It's like, you know, like there's literally no other reason. It's just a Twitter top 10 list, yeah. And I mean, if you're gonna do that, like, I mean, attacking the concept of a top 10 list is something that's interesting, I suppose. Not really important though. Okay, cool. I just think that it's with something like a top 10 list and whatever, and people are either gonna generally like not see everything in the world and just post what they know, or they're gonna post things to make them look impressive. But it doesn't matter. Like that's not important. Like, my close circle of friends knows what kind of, I mean, potentially if you're seeing a 3x3, then you already even know the person. So like, why do we care? I don't get it. You can make a video about anything and it can turn into something interesting. I don't know. I guess that's true. I think it depends on the person. I mean, even with what we were talking about earlier with me and Joe, and he thought that that was an interesting thing, and I thought that it's fucking horrible and stupid. Like, it's like, it is subjective, obviously, but I don't know. It doesn't make me right or wrong or whatever. Oh, okay. He posted it on that? Oh, well. What was that? The After Dark thing? I mean, I post shit videos on my main channel, but I don't care. I do it for fun. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Digi's a cool guy, and he should know that I know that. So it's like I genuinely like have a lot of respect for the writing of his videos. So. Don't know what's with the beard and the shades. I don't know. Beats me. At least I think he's putting on a character, you know? A lot of people like to do that with their YouTube channels. They have like a character. I wish I had a third bottle. I'm gonna see about taking out all these snake monsters and I'm floating back and doing this again. This mission is actually the longest in the game and probably the most tedious for me. Like, I probably like it the least. Out of any of the side quests in Majora's Mask. This hunting down the egg thing. Or how DSP is a fan when he's a complete ass, or when he's putting on a character when he's a complete ass hat. No, that if only that was a character. More like a character flaw. Joe, you're still on the call, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Oh yeah, no, it was DSP's whole like that shenanigans. That was some kooky shit, man. Nah, he just picked up that controller again, like it was nothing. One sec, gonna pause this real quick. Okay, let's keep going. 1 sec. Sorry, I'm still pausing. I probably need more magic. Shoot, I gotta bring up the chat real quick as well. Oy vey. No, DSP is a terrible person. I don't think anybody's gonna, like, I don't know. I've never liked any of his stuff. He's not particularly good at games either. Why isn't there any magic? Oh my god. I don't feel like I have much time. This is one of those, like, time crank sort of things. Ugh. Successful balance of seriousness and a comedy. I think Fullmetal Alchemist does that very well, actually. So, I mean, like, I would study the way that that uses it. Not so much... I think Brotherhood is worse with comedy, so I would say 2003, but I'm, like, super mega biased when it comes to 2003, even though I hated it for several years, because of the Brotherhood hype. But no, I do think that, that's a pretty good example. Oh, come on. I totally need money. What the fuck? I forgot that that did that. Edward's short jokes are really bad. Its repetition is probably its worst aspect, but I still think it's worth, like studying for that sort of thing. But I mean, Brotherhood was way worse. Like, it broke its diegetic sequences like a lot. Like a lot. Like Brotherhood would have serious moments like Winry being abducted by Kimberly, and then they go, "Winry was abducted by Kimberly?" And it's just so obnoxious. Oh, you were talking about DSP with shouting. I thought you meant Edward. Oh crap. Sorry about that. Well, that's awkward. DSP with, he shouts fuck a lot. Yeah, well, I mean, he loses a lot and he doesn't have anything to say during his commentaries. He doesn't really talk with his chat, if you notice. He just kind of does things. Like, DSP really just, like, he doesn't interact with anybody. Like, who watches his stuff? Like, seriously. Why would anybody watch his stuff? Like, what would the point be on streaming him unless you're just watching him to fail? Like, because he's a bad person. Hopefully they didn't all respawn in. Are you serious? They all respawned. That's why I wanted to kill them all first. I can't believe they all respawned. What the hell? It's the night of the final day too. I'm really pushing the clock here. Gee. I think this is the last egg. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. Welcome to the NHK and other black comedies like that, which balance like serious character drama with comedy. That's good. That's actually a good suggestion. Take a look at that. I definitely recommend it. That sort of thing. Okay. We got this in there. Oh, jeez. Let's learn this song.